21-year-old Danielle Hansen is suing 21-year-old Brenda Carney for assaulting her in a restroom during a party.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 468 on the calendar in the matter of Hansen versus Carney.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Hansen, it is your claim that Miss Carney assaulted you at a party. It was a Halloween party, and it was being held at some firehouse?
Yes.
It's a firehouse. Adults were there, young people were there. Your parents were there?
Yes.
Were your parents there?
No.
Oh, okay. Now, Miss Carney, your defense is that, yes, you did, in fact, hit her, but she started it.
Yes.
So since you acknowledge that there was a physical altercation, I'm going to let you tell me what happened.
Okay. I had walked it since the moment I walked in. The first time I saw her, she had called me when I walked by.
I assume you knew her from before.
Yes.
From when before?
A long time ago, like 6 years ago, probably.
Had you seen her in those 6 years?
I don't think so.
What time did you get to this Halloween party?
I have no idea. Probably 9 or so, I don't know.
Was this person with you?
Yes.
What time did you get to the party?
It was at 9.
Okay, so you say you passed her by and she called you a name. Keep going.
Okay, and so we kind of ignored it and we were sitting at a table.
Not we. I don't want to hear
Okay.
about the we.
Sorry. Okay.
She didn't call anybody else a name. She called you a name.
Yes. Okay, and then we passed by before we went in the bathroom and she...
Who's we?
Me and 2 other friends. And then by the time we got into the bathroom, we had had altercation. She called me.
No. Listen to me very carefully. And don't look down there. You look here.
Okay.
She called you a name. You ignored it. You sat down. You and your friends went to the bathroom. As you were going to the bathroom, did she say something else to you?
Well, actually, we were going to the other room, which the bathroom is in a hallway, and we're going through the hallway to a different room. And she had said some other things. I don't remember exactly what it was, though.
Directed to you?
Yes.
Okay, and you kept walking. Keep going.
And then a few minutes later, we went into the bathroom, and her friend were in there. And
Okay, so when you got into the bathroom, she was there. Who had to use the restroom?
we went in to do our makeup, actually.
So nobody had to use the restroom.
No.
And when you got into the restroom, the plaintiff was there. She was there with anyone else?
With her friend, I believe.
That would be you. Go ahead.
Okay. And so
Don't
we...
look down. I'm not
sorry.
interested in looking down. I'm interested in looking here.
Okay. And so we had had an altercation. She was saying
Don't
that
tell
I
me
was-
altercation. Altercation is a conclusion. I want you to tell me what happened when you got to the bathroom.
Okay.
She was there already.
Yes.
What was she doing when you walked in?
Standing there. I don't know exactly what she went in the bathroom to do.
What was she doing when you walked in?
She was just standing there. She wasn't doing
She was
anything.
standing in the bathroom.
Yes, she was standing
Near
in
the
bathroom.
sink?
Yeah, well, it's kind of small, so yeah, near the sink, I guess you could say.
And what happened?
Okay, and I walked in there and she said, "Oh, you must have not heard me." And I said, "Yeah, I did hear you." And then we just got into this argument about my ex-boyfriend.
No. You must have not heard me.
Okay.
Yes, I heard you. She said, you said, come on.
She was saying how my boyfriend liked her and wanted her and I was nothing to him, blah, 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 blah.
You mean you're talking about 6 years ago?
Exactly, yes, 6 years ago.
Go ahead.
And so I just said, "You could have him if you want him. He's not mine anymore, blah, blah, blah." And then she was just on and on about how much he wanted her, blah, blah. So it made me mad. So I threw my water at her out of my cup. And so she started to come towards me. I hit her. She pulled onto my hair. And then her dad came into the bathroom and grabbed me out and said, "You can either go out in cuffs or you can go out yourself." So I said, "Okay, I'm going out myself." Went outside with Whitney. And she came running out and pushed me and said, "Oh, it's all right, Danielle, I got her," and ran back into the bathroom. And so when we left, we went down to our car and her dad walked by and said, "Oh, just remember, little girl, this isn't over yet." So I was like, okay. And they drove by about probably 10 minutes later, right before we were leaving, and they were calling me and stuff when they were driving by. So
That has nothing to do with the assault.
okay,
You
well, asked
assaulted
what
her.
happened. I told you what.
You assaulted her.
Okay.
What part didn't you understand that you assaulted her? You can't throw water on her.
Okay.
That's an assault. And let's go through it very slowly. Remember, you don't have to have a good memory if you tell the truth. You threw water on her, and then what happened?
And then she came at me, so
Then she came towards you,
Okay.
and then you hit her. right?
Yes.
Where did you hit her?
Her face, I think.
You can't do that. Is that what happened?
No, it's not what happened at all.
So I've just heard a whitewashed version of what happened?
Yes.
Why don't you tell me what happened?
Okay,
This
it
is
was-
bad enough.
Yeah. It was about 10:30 at night on October 25th, and I had not seen her that whole night. I didn't know she was there. Me and Ashley went into the bathroom to go to the bathroom, and about 30 seconds... I'm sorry. About 30 seconds to a minute later, she comes in with two of her friends. And I say, "Hi, Brenda." She goes, "Why are you saying hi to me?" I said, "Because I was just trying to be nice." She replies, "Why, because you my boyfriend?" And I said, "No, I didn't have sex with your boyfriend." She comments about my chin, insults me, so I say something about her hair. I walk towards the restroom, turn my face, and she hits me in my eye. And I have pictures to
What
prove
about
it.
the water? Didn't she throw water?
She didn't throw water on me. She hit me once. I kneeled down, and I come back up, and I pulled her hair. She hit me again in the same eye. I let go of her hair, I grab my face, and my friend Ashley pulls me into the stall. And I hear my dad's voice. He comes in to the bathroom, and I hear him. So I open the stall, and he says 3 times to her, "You need to get out of the bathroom. You need to leave the bathroom." And as they are leaving the bathroom, her friend turns around, throws her drink on my face, into
Which
my
friend?
eye. I don't remember.
Which friend?
Don't remember.
Which friend?
Which friend it was?
Don't speak!
Okay.
Which friend?
It was our friend Brianna.
That was...
I love it when it all... Shut up. I gave you an opportunity to speak first, right? Everybody else was quiet.
Yes.
If I had let you answer the question, you would have said nobody threw a drink at her. That's why I asked her. Because then I got an honest answer.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Danielle Hansen says Brenda Carney assaulted her in the restroom during a Halloween party. Brenda claims that Danielle was the aggressor.
Okay. You have medical bills?
Yes.
I'd like to see them, please. What do you do for a living, Miss Carney?
I'm a waitress
Where?
at Buffalo Hill Cafe in Georgetown.
How long have you been there?
About 6 years, 5 or 6 years.
Who do you live with?
I live with my mom.
Anybody else?
My dad and my brothers.
How come you didn't have her arrested?
That's me.
I would have had her arrested.
Your Honor, I'm Steve Hampson. I'm her dad. We did call the police. The first 2 sheriffs that did show up interviewed my daughter and had to go to the hotel to get the defendant out of the bar. They took her statement. A 3rd sheriff arrived and basically took over the whole situation. We felt it was kind of biased because the sheriff knew the family.
I assumed somebody knew a family.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
I assumed somebody knew a family.
No. Okay.
I assumed somebody called somebody who knew a family.
We didn't know any of the sheriffs that were there that night.
I didn't say you.
Okay, I'm just letting you know we had no idea who they were, so.
I didn't say you.
Okay.
Family, I said.
Or my family.
No, I don't believe that at all. Because with this kind of injury, I just found out the story. I asked you what happened. You acknowledged that you assaulted her. I assume you said the same thing to the sheriff who came. I assume you did because you told me that you assaulted her. So I don't understand if you assaulted her and caused her physical injury, why you weren't arrested unless somebody knew something. Unless somebody knew somebody. Certainly pleased that you're working, my darling. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I wanted to go to the bathroom. I needed to go to the bathroom. I turned my head and she hit me.
She was very upset, holding her face. You know, it was pretty obvious that she had been assaulted.
If someone just says, "Hi, how are you?" what would give me the reason to punch him in the face?
I didn't do anything to her.
She had just said that she wished I wasn't wearing the same costume as her.
We were wearing the same costume. I think she was just a little mad because I looked better in mine.
Not sound biased, but yes, my daughter did look a lot better in the costume.
Get over small stuff.
Well, I'll never hit anyone again. That's for sure.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Morris versus Morones, step forward, please.
19-year-old Pura Morris is suing her co-worker, Felicia Morones, for borrowing her Toyota Camry and wrecking it.
Miss Morris, the defendant borrowed your car
Yes.
You were co-workers?
Yes.
And she totaled the car. You want her to pay for the car because while you had liability insurance on the car, you didn't have collision insurance on the car.
Yes, ma'am.
And the defendant says that the accident was not her fault, and therefore she's not responsible for the damage. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. When did you borrow her car?
In the first couple of weeks of November.
When did you borrow your car?
November 8th.
See, when you lose property that you pay for, you remember the date that you lose it.
Right.
When you don't pay for property, you don't even remember the date that you lost the property.
Well,
November 8th. Tell me under what circumstances she borrowed the car.
It was about 1:30 and she was getting off a couple hours before I did, and she wanted
Where do you work?
Taco Bell as my second job. She got off about 1:30 and I was supposed to close to be getting off at 4, and she had asked to borrow the car. And I really didn't want to give it to her at first.
I don't care whether you wanted to give it to her or not. I want to know what you said to her and what she said to you.
She asked to borrow the car. She said she was going to go check and see who was at a club, and I told her she could not borrow my car if she was going to be drinking. She said, okay, well then I'll just go home. And when I got off, she was supposed to come back up there and bring the car to me. And under them circumstances, she could borrow the car. I didn't want her to walk home at 1:30 in the morning. It's a bad part of town.
Well, if you hadn't lent her the car, how did you intend to get home?
well, I have my husband to pick me up. He would come pick me up if I called him. She offered.
Just answer my question. When you didn't borrow her car,
Right.
how did you get home at 1:30 in the morning?
My manager, or like I would call somebody to come, pick
At
me up.
1:30 in the morning?
Yes.
Like who?
My kid's dad or the manager. She would clock out and take me home if I needed.
Go ahead.
She had kept asking to borrow the car, and so finally I said, all right, well, just pick me up when it's over.
What kind of car did you have?
A 98 Toyota Camry.
And this Taco Bell job is your second job.
Yes, ma'am.
What's your first job?
I work at a doctor's office.
Where's your husband to?
He's a medical assistant.
Saving up some money?
Kind of. We just bought a house, so it's pretty much, we saved up to buy the house, and then we found out that it went through, and
How much money had you saved, Miss Morris?
a little over $2,000.
How long did it take you?
Month and a half, about 2 months.
So you work a lot.
Yes, ma'am.
What about your husband? Does he work a lot?
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you live with?
With my husband,
What does he do for a living?
he makes printing ink.
Okay. So you borrowed her car.
She offered her car.
I don't care whether she offered it or not. You borrowed her car. How old are you?
32.
You borrowed her car. You have a problem? You want me to give you the definition of borrow?
No, I know the definition.
Good. You borrowed her car.
Okay.
And what happened?
Well, I was at work and I was getting off early.
I heard that already. You were getting off early and you wanted to go home. And you didn't want to call your manager.
Well, I didn't want to
Father
go
of your
home. I told her I
children was-
wanted to go out.
You wanted to go out.
Yes, to
How
a
old are your
club.
children?
At home with their father.
How old are they, I said?
How old? From 16 to 5.
So you wanted to go out to a club. For what?
To have a couple of drinks
With whom?
with just myself and whoever friends I saw there.
What about going home to your husband and children?
Well, I mean, occasionally I'll like go, out with friends and we'll, go out, drink or whatever. So,
You borrowed the... Did you steal the car?
no, I did
Look,
not.
Look, all right, let's try to make this simple, even for you. Did you buy the car?
No,
Did you steal the car?
no,
Did you have possession of the car?
yes.
Didn't steal it, and you didn't buy it.
So,
Then you borrowed it.
Okay.
She didn't lose it. She didn't sell it. She loaned it to you.
Right.
You borrowed it from her. Now do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect. So tell me what happened to the car.
Okay, I was coming from the club because they were already closed. So I was just in the parking lot, so I just got back in the car and then I took off and then I was on the way to go home to change my clothes
Change your clothes to do what?
because I had on my Taco Bell uniform.
So what were you changing into?
I was gonna go change like into some jeans and a t-shirt and then because she didn't have to get off till 4. And then when I was driving, a truck is coming towards my way on the other side. So then he decides to get in my lane, and I'm thinking he's going to move, and then he doesn't. So it's either I have a head-on collision, or what I did is I swerved. And when I swerved, there was like a ditch there with a little like boulder thing, and I like hit the boulder thing, and like when I did, it had like I could hear it like scrape the whole bottom of the car. And I went into like a little ditch where there was trees and stuff. So
Did you call the police?
no, I did not.
Why not?
Because the car started back up after the airplane.
Well, you
the
just
airbags
heard, you were
deployed.
just in almost a terrible accident. You heard that the car was damaged by hitting the underside of the car. A truck caused that damage, according to you. Truck caused that damage because it was traveling the wrong way on a highway. It was in your lane.
Not on a highway,
On a street.
on the street. Yes.
It was going the wrong way in your lane on a street. So traveling in a very hazardous way, causing your accident. Why didn't you call the police?
Well,
How
I
about
didn't.
because I didn't have a license?
Right.
How about that?
Because I didn't have a license.
That would be an answer. Why did you take possession of her car without...
was aware of
I'm
that.
speaking. Don't tell me what she was aware of. Why did a 32-year-old woman take possession of a car, drive a car without a license? Why?
Just, I don't know, just because. I just did.
Well, then you pay for it. Can I get the book value of this car, please? 1998 Toyota Camry.
She willingly handed the keys over to me, though.
You're a fool. Let me tell you all the things that you said to me today that suggest to me that you're a fool. First, that you had no responsibility because she offered you the car. Second, that you think that I believe that someone else caused this accident, despite the fact that you took the car, went to a club 1:30 in the morning, instead of going home after a shift of work to be with your husband, because you used that word loosely because you at first said the father of my children would come and pick me up. Then you said husband. So somebody is home with your kids while you're out clubbing. That makes you a fool. The next thing that you say is a fool is that she's responsible because she handed over the keys to you. That makes you a fool. Only a fool takes a car to
But she
drive
loaned
it.
me
I'm
the
speaking
car before.
on a public street without a license, who's 32 years old, who has a child as old as 16. If your child who was 16 who doesn't have a license takes a car and drives it on the street, can wind up in jail. That's where you should have been. At the price.
1998 Camry.
Yeah, good condition.
Private party, $5,100.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
That's case number 525 on the calendar in the matter of Wynn versus Bojanowski.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Ms. Nguyen, according to your complaint, the defendant was a friend of yours. He moved into your home. I don't think he was paying rent, but he stayed in a room in your house.
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that he owes you some money, I think, for having his car fixed. You laid out some money for him.
Yes, ma'am.
And at some point, got into an altercation. You claim he assaulted you. And when he ultimately moved out, he took property that belongs to you, which was a PlayStation. The defendant says that you actually destroyed all of his furniture by putting it out in the snow. And he also says that since he moved out, you've embarked upon a campaign to defame him. So, how did you know each other?
We met at the end of August, actually, online, and we were friends at first, and in October we started dating, and he ended up moving in November because he ended up getting kicked out of his other place, and I made an agreement to come live with me temporarily until we can find our own place, because it wasn't my house I was living in, it was my parents' house, and I wasn't supposed to have anyone there.
Okay, first tell me about this money that you allegedly loaned to him.
His car started having problems in mid-September, and he had to replace a lot of things on the engine. The whole brake lines had to be replaced.
Your Honor, the only actual thing that was replaced on the car at the time when I got it was the brake lines, and which is, anybody knows, is a $30, $40 part, and I repaired the brake lines myself.
Okay, how much money do you claim you gave him to fix the car?
About $800. He lied. The ball joint had to be replaced.
Just a second. Do you have proof of the money that you gave him?
Here's the proof, and my witness, she was there when I gave him money too. She was in the car with me.
I just want to see what proof you have. All I have here is $70 so far on this page for advanced auto parts. And then there's another advanced auto parts for $6.51. The other thing that you have here is a $300 cash withdrawal.
I had given him my debit card and my PIN number to get the cash withdrawal for his part for his car.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Just a
She
second.
was there when she witnessed that I had given him more money to repair his cars.
Stand up. Give me your last name.
When?
You related?
Yes.
How?
Sisters.
I don't want to hear you. Sit down. $76 is what you can prove. Now, tell me about the PlayStation.
The PS3, when we were dating, he had loaned his PS3 out to a friend who ended up stealing his PS3. And so when I break up and stuff, he ended up taking my PS3 with.
I ended up taking
I have a receipt for my
Just
PS3.
a second. Go ahead.
I didn't take anything. She ended up giving me my PlayStation because what happened was...
That's not true.
Put your hand down.
What had happened here is when they threw all my stuff out in the snow, there was a lot of contents that weren't actually included. So within the month following my stuff being in the snow, she ended up giving me stuff back.
When did she give you the PlayStation back?
About maybe 2 or 3 weeks afterwards. And also she gave me like $2,000 in recording equipment back.
That was mine.
Just a second. Now I'm going to hear about this alleged assault. You were having an argument with him.
Yes,
about
ma'am.
what?
We were arguing because I was on the phone with this girl named Jamie, and he got upset. He goes, if you're going to talk on the phone when I'm in the room, then go to the other room. And I went to the other room. So as soon as I got off the phone, because I didn't give him my undivided attention, because I always have to give him my undivided...
Don't tell me what...
Yeah.
Just tell me
and so
what he said and what you said.
We got into an argument, and basically I was like, we're done. And I demanded the house key back, because we were getting kicked out of my house already, because my parents had found out he moved in.
You mean your parents didn't know he was living with them?
I live in Buffalo for school. We have a home in Buffalo, and we also have a home in Rochester. My parents were living in the home in Rochester.
So you were living alone with him in the home in Buffalo?
With her brother that she was paying to keep his mouth shut.
Shh. Don't
That's not
interrupt again.
Okay.
That wasn't
Do you
true.
understand?
Yep.
Yep is not an answer
Yes.
in court.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes would be an answer. Okay. You told him he had to leave. And when you told him he had to leave, how long had he been living there?
He had been there for about 3.5 weeks, maybe.
It's actually over a month.
It was not over a month.
What part of don't speak didn't you understand?
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Good. He was there 3.5 weeks, and you told him to get out.
Yes,
Just a second. You can't tell him to get out and just go that moment, because whether you liked it or not, a tendency was created, and he has to have a certain amount of notice. All of his things were there? His furniture was there? His stereo equipment was there?
Yes.
His clothes were there?
Yes.
Good.
Everything was given back to him, but we signed for a contract that we were moving out.
Listen, I'm asking questions. So you told him to leave, and according to you, he left.
But he didn't give me back the house key, and I demanded...
Just answer my
Yes,
question. You told him to leave, and he walked outside, and he got into his car.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what did you do?
I went to his car telling him that, give me the house key, and when you come with a police escort, you can get all your stuff.
According to you, you jumped into the passenger seat of the car.
I had text messages on my other phone that he stole. He made threats to my brother. You can call my brother. Saw this
I'm not calling your brother. You told him to leave, and he left. And I assume you told him to leave because you in some way felt threatened. Is that a fair statement?
For my brother, basically. So he's always made threats towards my brother. I'm going to kill your brother. I'm going to kill your brother. Because he didn't like my brother.
I assume that you told him to leave because you in some way felt threatened.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you jump into his car for if you felt threatened?
Because I just felt like this is...
You were angry.
I was angry, and that was the easier way to do it.
You were angry.
Yes, ma'am.
So what happened when you jumped into the passenger seat of his car?
We started arguing in the car. He goes, I'm not going to give you the house key. This is my house key. So we started arguing more. He drove off of the car and goes, fine, you want to go for a ride? We'll go for a ride. And then when he started driving all over Buffalo, he started assaulting me. I have pictures of my whole face.
When he was driving all over Buffalo, you say he started hitting you.
Yeah, he started pounding on me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Yen Nguyen says ex-boyfriend Jonathan Bojanowski owes for a loan, a PlayStation, and an assault. Jonathan is countersuing for the destruction of property and defamation of character.
Now you can speak, sir. She told you to leave.
The beginning of the story is completely false because I was at her house when she started.
Just a second. She told you to leave.
She told me she was destroying my stuff, so I came home and tried to get my laptop.
Who told you that she was destroying your stuff?
She called me on the phone.
She called you?
Yes. I was actually at her house when I received the call.
So you're at her house, and this is a girlfriend?
No, this is just a friend of mine.
Friend.
I've known her for years.
And you received a call from the plaintiff telling you
to come get my stuff or else she was going to destroy it.
And then you went home.
Yep. And then she had been basically on the couch. She had been drinking. I grabbed my laptop and then she jumps on top of me, knocking the laptop out of my hand.
Put your hand down. Don't speak.
At that point, I just want to avoid the situation, so I grab my laptop and go to my car and back out of the driveway, and then that's when she jumps in the car, and I'm like, what are you doing? And that's when she started getting verbally and physically aggressive. And then
Well, what
talking
did she
about
do
that
physically?
and that I've been cheated on her, this and that, and basically that just caused her to get enraged. And then she started asking questions about this person, that person, and I was never arrested for assault.
I didn't ask you that. You're missing a whole bunch of stuff. She's going to show me pictures of where she was injured. And what I'm asking you is, who put their hands on who first?
Well, she put her hands on me, and also the next day, she heard the audio of her telling me that her cousin came over, took her car from her, threw her out of the house, and also beat her up in the process. She witnessed the audio that I had on my old phone that I lost.
Well, that's too bad. That's hearsay.
It is too bad.
That's hearsay.
Your Honor.
Put your hand down. Now I want to see the police report.
I was the only one that was hurt.
Just a second. I don't care if you were the only one that was injured, that you didn't touch him. I believe you were out of control. That's the only reason that somebody in your circumstance would jump in the passenger seat of a car if they were afraid of somebody, if they were out of control and jealous. Because it is true that you called him at her house.
I told John.
Just a second. It is true that you called him at her house.
Yeah, because I didn't know.
Right.
I didn't know she was.
You
at her
left
house.
that out of your story.
I didn't know he was at her house.
Listen, you left that out of your story.
But can I say why though? He had drank about 40 ounce, I don't know what you call those big bottles of beer. He was driving drunk. I have beer bottles still at my house.
I wasn't even at her house.
The police even said he was
Listen to me. You were furious when he came home.
Yeah.
So I believe that you put your hands on him first. He may have hit you harder, but you put your hands on him first. Because otherwise you would have stayed in your house. If he was drunk and out of control and you were in control, you wouldn't have run out of your house when he left and jumped in his car.
I didn't have, can I say that I also didn't have one drink because I just came home from work.
I said you were out of control, furious. Okay. You told the police officers that nothing happened. You had a verbal argument with him.
Can I say why though?
No. When asked about injuries to her face and neck, she said, I must have fell.
Because he threatened me in the car.
Yeah,
though.
right. He was going!
But
Give
no,
me
I
the
mean, like,
pictures,
after this-
please. Give me the pictures, please. Okay, good. Now, I'm going to hear you counterclaim.
Well, I'm counterclaiming for that night I came back there, and then she informed me that they were changing the locks. So then the next day...
Why didn't you give her the key back?
Well, because I have everything I own there. I mean, my recording equipment...
Reasonable.
Okay.
Got it.
And the next day, my friend who lives a block away drives by and says, I think...
You can't tell me what your friend says.
Well,
Just
notified
tell me
me
what
that...
you can't tell me what he notified you. That's hearsay.
Well, basically on that Saturday, I drove by there and saw all my stuff sitting outside in the snow.
What stuff?
Everything I own, as far as...
Well, it wasn't everything because she gave you back some of your stuff, according to
well,
you.
as far as my oak bedroom set, my furniture...
Put his bedroom set out on the lawn?
I didn't do it.
Who did?
It was my family because they didn't want him on the premises anymore.
Shh. I don't care whether it was your family or you. You're
But he
responsible.
made that he agreed that basically to get the police escort.
Don't tell me what he basically agreed to. You can't put his furniture out in the snow.
He agreed. No, it wasn't snowing then. It was the weather was perfect.
Pictures, Your Honor,
I
proving...
want you to not interrupt.
Okay, sorry.
It took him 3 days. I called him every day, 3 days in a row, and he agreed that he was going to pick it up that Friday. He never came.
When did you put his stuff out on the lawn? On
The
what
next
date?
day of the assault.
You can't do that. You can't do
He
that.
said he was coming that day to pick it up. I waited for him.
You can't do that.
He agreed that he was going to leave outside.
You
though.
can't. No, show me proof of that.
I have phone call
Show
records.
me
I can
proof that he agreed that you should put his furniture
I didn't say outside. He was just
Show me.
come get all the stuff. He never showed up. He didn't show up till Sunday.
Listen. Show me proof that he said to put his stuff out on the lawn.
I don't have any.
Well, then you can't put his stuff out on the lawn. Let me see what was put out on the lawn, please. Where is most of this stuff now? I didn't ask you.
Sorry.
Basically, it's...
Now, don't give me basically.
it's
I
in
don't want to
Cheektowaga.
get basically. I asked you a direct question.
It's in Cheektowaga.
Is it in your home?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yes.
It's in your home. Good. Now talk to me about defamation of character.
Well, since basically,
I don't want to hear basically.
okay.
I just want you to give me a fact.
After she threw my stuff out, I changed my phone number. She then began calling my boss, telling my boss that I'm selling cocaine.
Don't tell me what she told your boss.
Well, then she also went online, posted this information on Craigslist using my picture and saying that I'm a drug dealer. I've had my house raided. I beat my dog.
Let me see. How many times have you been arrested?
Since 2001?
No.
Once.
Forever.
Maybe about 3 or 4.
Well, that's an extensive criminal record. Sounds as if somebody who doesn't like you, but the things that are actionable happen to be true.
Well, also she's been...
What do you want? I mean, it better be relevant.
Yes.
Well, first give me your name.
My name is Alicia Reeves, and this is my cell phone. I have text messages on here where Ewan was sending me text messages, not even knowing my relationship with John. She doesn't know anything about me. She's never met me before. And she sent me text messages basically threatening to contact people that are my family members.
Just a second. Just a second. Did you ever text message this lady?
I text her to get a hold.
Just answer my question.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever text her after he moved out?
Yes, to get my stuff. Yes, ma'am.
Can you read to me the text messages, please?
Can you have her read 2-sided stories?
Just a second. If you were afraid of him, and if he assaulted you, and if he was the one who was responsible for precipitating the assault, what you would have done is stayed as far away from him and his friends as possible. That's what normal people do. Now, I want to hear the text message.
Okay, I just want to preface this to explain to you that she sent additional text messages to me that were very hurtful.
I don't care.
I erased those because I didn't want to see them. Here's what she did send them. She said, "So is Linda like your aunt or cousin? I'm only asking because I bet she would love how to hear how you're with John, and I'm not with him."
Listen. I don't want to hear you editorializing, if you know what that means. I asked you to do me a favor and just read me the text message.
Can you have her read what she wrote to me?
I'm only asking...
I don't care what she wrote to you. She didn't start writing to you.
Well, this is the reason why I didn't know they were together, because she told me they were together.
Listen to me. I want to get a sense of what's in your brain when someone allegedly assaults you and you try to keep in contact with them. Go.
I'm only asking because I bet she would love to hear how you're with John if you don't get me my stuff back. I bet Grandma Claudia wouldn't approve of that language because I told her to go away. So would Linda, I'm assuming she's your aunt, basically threatening to contact my family members if I didn't get her
Is that it?
stuff.
No. Is that it? Don't tell me basically. I'm not interested in basically. I asked you to read me the text messages.
Oh, no. John, I don't want that read on TV, please. It's embarrassing to me what she said.
Good. Then you can sit down.
That is the extent of what I saved on my text messages. Like I said, I deleted them because I didn't want to see hurtful text messages from somebody who doesn't know me.
He texted me 3 weeks ago trying to get back with me.
He owes you $76 for car parts.
And I told him no.
Quiet. You owe him $500 for throwing his stuff out on the lawn and ruining some of it, which means that you owe him $424.
The assault, though.
Now, I'm going to explain to you about the assault. I have to make a decision with regard to this assault claim as to who was the aggressor and who was not. Put your hand down, madam. Put your hand down, madam. Now I'm ruling. He left the house. You followed him. Not only did you follow him, but you got into the car. And you were furious because you had contacted him when he was at her house. In addition to that, when the police came, you lied to them.
Because
according to you, you lied to them. Now, you're going to tell me I lied to them because he threatened me. Somebody who feels threatened doesn't take all somebody's property and throw it out in the rain, snow, or sleet of Buffalo because all the stuff is covered with snow.
Can I say something about that?
I'm speaking.
He returned to the house and he got arrested that night, though.
Listen, you don't look like a shrinking violet.
I know, but
you don't
the police
look like
officers told him not to return back to the house that night.
I'm speaking. What part of I'm speaking don't you understand? You owe him $424. You cannot put his stuff out and leave it there to be destroyed. As far as the defamation is concerned, anything she wrote on her face page about you or on the internet was true. You've been arrested several times. You've been convicted of a felony. All that is true. Those are the only things that are actionable. The rest of them are all sort of puffing. Says you take advantage of women. Well, that's her perspective of what you do. And in some ways, that's true. Did you pay rent for the 3.5 weeks you were living
She
with
never
her?
asked me for
I'm
rent.
speaking. The answer is either yes or no, not that she asked you.
No.
Good. Thank you. That's all.
Yeah, this is case number 537 on the calendar in the matter of Stewart versus Murky. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You're welcome. Folks, have a seat, please.
Ms. Stewart, the defendant was your boyfriend. You have a child together.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Murky?
Yes, ma'am.
You have custody of your son, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
How old is your son?
2 years old.
How long have you had primary custody?
Since, I'd say, around last June.
June of '08.
Yeah.
What?
He does not have custody. He was granted interim custody when I was in the hospital in June.
Does the child live with him on a full-time basis?
No, we have shared parenting.
That has not been passed.
Just a second.
That has not been passed through court yet, ma'am. She actually has been doing better. We have agreed on a shared parenting because I'm not trying to keep my son from his mother. That was not my intentions at all. But we don't go back to court till April.
Is that correct?
Oh, we do go back to court in April, but
Is it correct that until April he has primary custody of this boy?
he has interim custody, yes.
And prior to June of 2008, did the child live with you?
Yes.
So I assume something happened in June of 2008 which required his father to take custody of him.
Yes, I was hospitalized for a week.
I assume you were having troubles at that point. If you were hospitalized for a week, that means when you get out of the hospital, he comes back to live with you unless you were having some difficulty in your life.
Right, he filed for the interim custody while I was in the hospital.
Ms. Stewart, your case is about the following. You say that at some point you came back to live with him and you had furniture.
Yes, ma'am.
And the furniture was given to you by your father. And he threw you out because, according to Mr. Murky, he found that you had been sending money to an old boyfriend in prison. And you want your furniture back and your television. Mr. Murky says that the furniture was given to him by your father. It was used furniture, with the exception of the television, which was in fact yours. Now, if this is your father, I'm going to make the following statement. Are you your father?
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you stand up? Is your last name Stewart?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Stewart, I want you to listen to me very carefully, sir, before you say anything. Are we understanding each other?
Yes.
I worked and developed my skills in family court over 25 years. There isn't a story I haven't heard in one form or another. Are we understanding each other?
You understand?
Now, I gather from reading these papers that at the time that your daughter was incapable of parenting her child, that Mr. Murky, who appears to be a rather responsible young man, took over that role. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
Now it appears to me as if your daughter is probably doing better. That a fair statement?
She's doing very well.
She's doing very well. That doesn't mean that she's the more responsible parent. Do you understand what I'm saying, Mr. Stewart?
I understand.
I want you to listen to me very carefully. Because she's doing better doesn't automatically mean that she should have custody of her child. Do you understand me?
Yes.
Were you a good father?
I tried to be.
Did you live with her mother?
Yes.
Was her mother a good mother?
Yes.
Did you feel as if her mother was a better parent than you were?
Probably she was.
He's a better parent than your daughter.
That's not true.
Yes, Mr. Stewart. Right now, in your grandson's short life, he has been the one who's been responsible for him when your daughter was incapable because of whatever messing up she was doing. She was messing up. So I want you to listen to me very carefully before I ask you these questions, Mr. Stewart. Before you alienate him, who very well may be the primary caretaker of your grandson for a long time, before you alienate him by telling something that's not true, I want you to think about it, and the best thing that you can do is just say, I have nothing to say. Because Mr. Murky said to me in his answer that you came to him at work and said, I've just bought some new furniture. And if you can find a way to get the furniture over to your house, you can have my old stuff.
That is not true.
And I don't believe you.
Why would I give him furniture and not my
why?
daughter?
Why would you give him furniture?
And not my daughter.
On what date did the furniture move into your house, sir? August, September, October. What date?
The middle of November. It was after my birthday. My dad gave it to me for my birthday.
Were you in rehab? Is that what, let's understand what we're talking about.
No,
Were you in rehab in June?
I've never been in rehab.
What kind of hospital were you in June?
I was at University Hospital. I was having seizures where I was blacking out and I wasn't remembering chunks of time.
Had you been involved with drugs or alcohol prior to that time?
No, ma'am.
Go ahead.
She was having problems. She was doing some things. I'm not quite sure what she was doing. She was running them up, but she was hospitalized for those
That's
reasons.
a very nice thing for you to do. So the reason you would give him the furniture, your daughter was then living with him. He had been caring for your grandson alone since June.
That's not true.
What do you mean it's not true?
I helped with the grandson. Me and my wife helped, and my family helped. It just wasn't all on him.
As it should be. You're the just a second. You're the grandfather. So if you and your wife helped out, that's fine. That's what you should do.
Well, that's what we did.
That's what you should do.
Well,
he didn't say to you, listen, I'm just a father. I can't take care of a 2-year-old. He said, I'm coming in. I'm going to take over. She can't take care of the child now. And if you helped, that's what you're supposed to do. You're the grandfather. Sit down, Mr. Stewart. You're not being smart. You have her television set?
Yes, I do.
All right. She gets back her TV because you acknowledge that the TV is hers.
Yes, ma'am.
Was all the furniture that went to his house all used furniture that came from your father's house?
Yes, it was by December 2006. I have the receipt here if you'd like to see
That's
that.
fine. It's staying in his house. Do we have to deal with anything else?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you have a nonsense counterclaim, Mr. Murky. Your nonsense counterclaim is for half your rent because when she moved in, she was unemployed, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So how was she supposed to pay you half the rent?
I understand.
You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
That's why I said it's a nonsense counterclaim.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Emily Stewart says the father of her child, Ernie Murky, owes for the return of furniture. Ernie is countersuing for unpaid rent and a cell phone bill.
Okay, so you were in the hospital in June. When you got out of the hospital, where did you go?
To my apartment.
To your apartment alone. You didn't go to your parents' house.
No, I had my boyfriend that lived with me.
Which is now in prison. Is the reason
Just a
why.
second.
Okay.
So you left the hospital and went to your apartment with a boyfriend who's now incarcerated. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, ma'am.
And you lived with this incarcerated boyfriend until when?
We moved out August 1st.
And where did you go?
From there, I went to go stay with a friend. My friend.
And where did he go?
I don't. That
To jail.
isn't my problem. He did not go to jail. He went and lived with his parents.
When did he go to jail?
October, November, maybe November.
And what evidence did you find, Mr. Murky, that she sent money to him?
I found receipts showing plain as day that she was dropping the money off, not sending it. She actually took it down there to him.
His mother paid me to take the money. It was her money. She paid me to drive it
Either
down
way.
there.
So at the time you were living with the father of your child, you were doing errands for your former boyfriend's mother by taking money to the jail for him.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand what I'm saying, Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
You get what I'm saying to you? Don't cut him off. Her judgment is south. Don't cut him off. You never can tell. Do you understand? That's why I didn't let you testify. You get back your television, period.
How about the...
I actually have another counterclaim. We have a cell phone bill that went into collections that's for $969.82. I have the last bill that was sent out and the collection letter showing that they're coming after me because I was the primary account holder.
When you gave her this cell phone, was she working? Is not an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Where?
She was working for PNC at the time.
I worked at U.S. Bank, ma'am.
When?
Before we split up the first time. It was probably 2 summers ago.
Oh, forget it, Mr. Murky. Forget it. I don't go into ancient history, sir. You get back your television, period. That's it. Goodbye.
I have a whole laundry list.
Goodbye. I don't care about your laundry list. That's what you get back. You have very poor judgment.
How do I have poor judgment?
I can ask your father to tell you how you have poor judgment.
Because I had a medical issue? I was not in rehab. I didn't have a problem with drugs or alcohol.
Listen to me very carefully, madam. This is your problem. First of all, you had poor judgment in hooking up with somebody that ended up in prison. You had poor judgment in, while you were living with the father of your child who was supporting you, you were doing errands for this person who was in prison by delivering him money. That's poor judgment. Now do you understand?
So poor
your father
judgment cost me
understands. That's all. Step
$3,000.
out. By the way, Mr. Murky, I wouldn't be so fast to give her shared parenting. I wouldn't be so quick to do that. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You have to think about your child. You shouldn't cut her off from her child.
I understand.
She should see him, she should be with him, she should spend time with him. But you make sure that you perfectly satisfied that this woman can exercise the judgment to share parenting with you. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't understand why she thinks I'm such a bad mother.
I've pretty much had completely enough.
Ernie gave me a hard time about not having any income, even though he wanted me to stay home with our son.
She was offered money to do it.
She offered me $40 to drive 20 minutes away.
There was no reason for her to be needing that money that bad.
I just think he's bitter.
Watch your back.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Ditas versus Danka. Step forward.
Victoria Ditas is suing her former tenant, 32-year-old Tammy Danka, for damage to her rental property.
Ms. Ditas, you rented your house to the defendant and you claim that she moved out and she caused extensive damage.
Correct.
Over $5,000 worth of damage. Ms. Danka says that no such thing. She left the house in fine shape. There was nothing wrong when she left the house. She says that you actually owe her security deposit back and some damages because she says you've been bad-mouthing her around town and to her new landlord. When did you move into her house?
On October 1st, 2007, Your Honor.
What was your rent?
It was $1,650.
Do you have proof of payment of the security deposit?
I do not have proof of that because it was all included in the first month's rent.
Well, show me the first month's rent check.
Don't have that.
Well, then, I'm not entertaining your counterclaim for security deposit. She says you never paid her any security deposit.
That's ridiculous.
No, it's not ridiculous. All you had to do was bring me the check.
Well, I have in the lease that it shows that it's $1,650 plus the deposit on there.
Yes, she says that you never gave her the security deposit. And all you had to do was bring me the check.
I didn't have the check because that was so long ago. I didn't think it'd be...
It wasn't so long ago. It's not so long ago.
I didn't think
It's
it'd
a
be
year and a half
problem.
ago. What?
I didn't think it would be a problem to save that rent check.
You have to bring proof. This is court. Where did you
Right.
think you were coming today?
I bought proof of a lot of other things, Your Honor.
Well, but the main part of your counterclaim is for
Correct.
security. Then you bring me the check that says rent and security.
Correct.
Right. Okay. Let me see pictures of the house before and after.
All right. The before ones. I have my own after pictures as well.
I want to see them too.
Thank you. Before. These are my photos, and these are her photos currently available online to show the difference there in the painting that she had me pay for.
Just a second. I just want to see the picture. Can I see the before pictures? These are before. Fine.
I have more too.
When was this picture taken?
That was 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Prior to her moving in?
Yes.
Okay. Now let me see your after pictures when she left. When date did you move out?
I moved out on the 30th of June.
Here are some. I have more. Also, please note that the water was left running in the pool to damage your cup.
Just a second. This is dirt. That's just stuff. The stove is dirt. And this, I assume, is to show me that she left dishes in the dishwasher.
Yes.
And this is to show me that she left a dirty refrigerator.
Yes.
Okay.
There are more.
And this is to show me that she left stuff there.
Yes. We needed to know what she was going to do with this.
Well, I don't know what she's going to do with it. So far, I don't see $5,000 worth of damage. I see a lot of dirt and schmutz.
There were holes in the walls.
All I want you to do is show me. So far, I don't see anything.
That's it. The garage doors were broken. The locks were damaged.
Don't tell me anything. Show me.
I actually had a company come out while I lived in the home to give me an estimate because it was broken prior to us moving in. And I used a stick, and I have a 5-year-old little girl with a pool in that backyard, and she provided me no locks. And I had the company come out.
Just a second. Is what you're telling me that you put locks?
She never provided. It was already broken.
I'm asking you if you put locks in.
I tried, yes.
What do you mean you tried?
I had a friend come over because I had added an estimate and she wouldn't pay for it. She said it was too much money. So I had a friend, in fear of my daughter drowning, to put a semi-lock on it to try to get it to lock. But the door was broken to begin with, so there was no repairing.
So what you're telling me is you lived in a house with a pool with a child and you didn't have a lock put on the door?
I tried. Yes, I did. But
you
it
can't
was just,
try!
Oh, it just broke again.
Listen to me.
Yes.
When your daughter is laying face down in the pool, You tell her that you tried to put a lock on the door? Don't you realize how stupid that is?
Well, I had
It's not her,
sticks in it.
hey, it's not her child.
I understand
I'm not
that.
excusing
I
the fact
understand that.
you're trying to talk over me.
Sorry.
That's not going to happen. I'm not excusing the fact if it's true that there was no lock on the door. What I'm telling you is you're the mother.
Right.
You're not supposed to say I tried.
Right.
You're supposed to say I took care of it.
Right.
What else? I don't see $5,000 worth of damage, madam.
are the state-
I'm not interested in that. I couldn't be less interested in your bills.
Okay.
I can only be interested in photographs of damage. So far, all you've shown me is a lot of trash and somebody who didn't clean well before they left. That's all I saw
No,
there.
that's the door alone. This had a lock in it. The people
Listen
that
to me,
moved-
madam. I see the door. I see the hole in it. I don't see $7,000 worth of damage, and I'm not looking at your bills. If you decided to renovate your house, that's your business. If you took pictures of the damage, listen to me very carefully. If you took pictures of a dirty toilet, then you should have taken pictures of holes in walls, ripped up carpet, banged out windows. But if you take pictures of a dirty toilet and a dirty refrigerator, and that's all you're showing me, then that's cleanup. For that, you get compensated. I mean, if you spent $300 to clean up the apartment, that's fine. But you don't get $7,000 for doing a renovation. Do we understand each other? Now, show me the pictures of the damage. I don't see any.
There's the dirty carpets that had human urine in them and feces on the carpet. They
Show
had
me.
to be removed.
Show
They're
me.
here. I'll show you.
Show me.
They justify human urine.
Show me.
Yeah, you know what that is. Here's the carpets. These were pale Berber carpets, very expensive. All of these are documented.
I'm not interested in your bills. I see trash on the floor.
There were dirty carpets. They destroyed the place. There were locks broken. These are honest people in Palm Springs that provided the services that will explain
Listen to me
it.
very carefully, madam. She's not renovating your house. If
She's
you
not.
took pictures of a couple of cups, listen to me, stop looking through. If you took pictures of a couple of cups on the floor and you took pictures of a dirty toilet, then you take pictures of actual damage that I can see. I can see no damage on this carpet except for a cup and a bottle and some trash. Do we understand each other? Now, if you have a bill for cleaning the house, I'll see it.
The carpets were not clean.
If you have bills for cleaning up the trash, if you hired a firm to come and clean up the trash that you say was outside, like here, or to clean the inside of the stove, or to clean up this mess, then I'll see a bill for cleanup. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you have that bill?
Well, I'm under oath, and I can tell you that there were rocks and marbles down my garbage disposal.
Your case is dismissed. Your counterclaim is likewise dismissed, madam. You don't have any proof that you paid any security deposit.
Thank you,
That's
Your
all.
Honor.
Yeah, this is case number 506 on the calendar in the matter of Felicier versus Cass.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Felicier, the defendant was your landlady for approximately 6 months, and according to your complaint, she had you falsely arrested for both assault and menacing in September 2007. So you want to be compensated for your bail and the time you spent in jail. Ms. Cass says that you were, in fact, high on drugs, that she had every right to call the police because you behaved in a threatening manner, which she will describe to me. Describe this arrangement. Was it a house, an apartment building?
She lived in a trailer, and I had just gotten a position at a Key Largo elementary school as a commercial electrician, and I needed somewhere to stay, so she rented me her screened-in porch for $400 a month.
On what date did you move into Miss Cass's screened-in porch?
Around January of '07.
How did you find the screened-in porch?
She had an ad in the paper for $400 a month.
What did the ad say, if you remember?
I think it said room for rent, $400.
Did it have a bathroom?
I had privileges to the kitchen and the bathroom inside the trailer, so I would sleep outside in the screened-in porch, and whenever I needed to use the utilities, I would go inside, no problem.
And there was one bathroom in the trailer?
Yes, there was.
Who else lived in the trailer?
Her by herself and her 3 dogs.
How do you support yourself, Miss Cass?
I have a pet sitting business called Precious Care Pet Sitting.
You mean you take care of them in your trailer?
No, I go to people's houses when they go out of town and take care of their pets.
That pays the bills?
Well, that once in a while I had to add a roommate to help, but during the summertime it's slow, so I needed a roommate to help pay the bills.
So why don't you tell me, Miss Cass, how it came about that you had the plaintiff arrested?
Okay, Friday he came home and he was really happy that he didn't use any cocaine because he was starting a new job on Tuesday.
Let's start again. Friday was what date?
It was the Labor Day weekend, the Friday of Labor Day weekend. I'm thinking September 1st.
Of 07?
Yes, ma'am.
He came home and told you?
He didn't use cocaine. He was at a party and he was all excited because he was supposed to start a new job on Tuesday. He was unemployed. On Saturday I woke up, he was gone. I didn't really keep track of where he was coming and going, and I get a call at 10 o'clock at night. He's all jacked up, stating that he found a real house and he was really excited that he was moving out and not to be mad at him, that he'd be by later to get his things.
Had he ever used drugs when he lived in your house?
Not that I was aware of, Your Honor.
Okay. Did he come by that day?
Yes, ma'am. He came by at 3 o'clock in the morning. He was all wild-eyed and all hyper, and he kept saying, "Don't be mad at me, Mommy. Don't be mad at me, Mommy." But I got a real house with a bathroom, and he was all excited. And I said, "No problem. I don't mind." And I asked if he did use drugs, and he admitted it. And I also have it in the deposition that he took that he admitted it.
And
in the deposition, this case was originally a civil case. So 3 months ago, he took a deposition and admitted that he did admit to me that he did cocaine.
I'd like to see it.
Yes, ma'am. And I also have his police report, his background, that he's been arrested for cocaine and trespassing
I'd like to see the deposition first. Did you sue her?
Yes, I filed a suit for restitution, punitive damages, wage lost. I was in jail during my birthday. She put me in jail during my birthday.
And what happened with that case?
I turned it into a small claims because we couldn't come to a resolution in the civil.
Your Honor, his lawyers walked out in the middle of the deposition and made a motion to withdraw.
The lawyers withdrew from representing you?
Yes. May I add, because her lawyer was filing motions and injunctions and just making the whole thing harder than it really was.
What did you expect her to do, roll over?
Well, that's true, you know. But I just wanted her to admit that what she did was a lie.
Were you using drugs that night in September, sir?
No, not that night. Maybe the night that I left.
The night that you left?
The night that I left, yeah.
Yes.
But when I came to the property to get my property, no.
That night, the night that you left, were you using drugs?
Yes.
What kind?
Coke and marijuana.
Where'd you get it from?
One of her social friends.
One of her friends?
One of her known friends. I didn't know him.
It wasn't my friend.
I knew him through her because I didn't know nobody. I just got in town to work.
He knew from an old roommate.
Okay, so the night that you left, you came home 3 o'clock in the morning to get your stuff. Where were you going to live?
At where they offered me another place.
They offered you another apartment. Who's they?
Her mutual friend, Augusta.
So she offered you what kind of a place to live?
A room, indoors.
And you decided to take that?
Well, I decided to give her a notice that I was planning to move.
Okay, so you called her at 10 o'clock.
So look, they offered me this place. I think I'm gonna find a move.
And then you came home at 3 o'clock.
To get his stuff.
That's what you said to me. You came home at 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, when did you come home? You called her?
At night, that 10 o'clock that she's talking about. That's when she had all my stuff in the porch.
No, first you had to call her, sir. Otherwise, she wouldn't have known that you were moving, right?
Right.
So first you called her.
Yeah, I called her and told her I was planning to move. But then later on, at 3 o'clock you're talking about, I came maybe to get a toothbrush or something. But it wasn't to get my stuff and leave.
He came to get...
Okay. Shh. I don't know whether it is or whether it isn't. Whether he came to get his stuff or he came to get his toothbrush. Whatever it was. He was high. He came home to get his toothbrush. You had already packed up all of his things when he called you at 10 o'clock, you said, and put his stuff on the porch.
The next day, Your Honor. The next night.
What happened when he came home at 3 o'clock?
When he came home at 3 o'clock on Saturday night, he was just all wired and telling me not to be sorry, and he went in the bathroom and cleared all his personal items out, told me he was getting some of his clothes and he'd be back Sunday to get the rest of his stuff.
Fine. And then what did you do?
I just went back to sleep, and then Sunday, Augusta came over crying at 12 o'clock, begging me to take him back.
He did?
The girl that he moved in with.
Planning to move in with.
So you didn't move in with her?
No, I planned to move.
What happened with Augusta?
Well, when I told her that I was planning to move, and then I went back to get my toothbrush or bathroom belongings, like she said, she had my things on the porch.
What happened with the other girl?
So when I went to get to the property, she called the cops. The cops came. They said, "You can't do that to him. He has tenants' rights. You have to go through the eviction process."
So you have
so
to
they
go
told
through
me for the night. They told me for the night, see if you can go somewhere, let the heat cool down. All right, no problem. I'll go to Augusta's house. And she followed.
Just a second. When you went to Augusta's house, were you high?
No.
When did you get high?
the night before, because I was there maybe 2 nights.
Go ahead.
And then they told me to go somewhere for the night. I said, all right, I think I'm gonna go to the lady that offered me the place. So I go to Augusta and say, look, this lady's causing me some drama over there. Can I spend the night over here? She followed me to that house after she wrote on the police report that she was terrified for her life. Even the police officer told me himself, boy, if she's so scared, why she followed you? Lies, more lies than false, whatever she did. So when she showed up at Augusta's house, she said, this lady's over here causing you problems, stirring up trouble. I can't deal with this. So I went back to her property, spent the night, no problem. Morning came.
Even though the police told you not to go?
Yeah, they told me if that doesn't work out, though, you have no choice. Come back, no problem.
They didn't tell that to you at all.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Edgar Felicia says his former landlord, Karen Cass, owes for falsely charging him with assault and battery. Karen claims Edgar broke into her home and attacked her.
Police don't say that.
No, they know because...
Police don't say that. They say you better let things cool off for a night and come back tomorrow.
That's true, but if you don't have no other place to go...
They didn't say that to you.
Well, all due respect, I was there.
No, I'm telling you, I've been around a block longer than you've been born. The police never told you should come back if it didn't work out with Augusta.
They told me to find somewhere else to stay for the night.
That's right. That's what they told you.
And if that didn't go well, to come back, okay, no problem.
Oh.
So I come back and I sleep, I'm just telling you what they told me. I mean, you know what I mean? So I go to sleep and I wake up the next morning late to work. I got fired because there's drama with her. I go to Publix to get me a little Aunt Jemima breakfast, and right when I'm coming into the trailer to open the door, she had it with the chain. Boom. That's when I started recording, which I have here the recording of what she's talking about, that I came in the house. And the whole recording shows I didn't even get through that door.
How did you record that?
On my camera phone. I had a camcorder on my phone. I said that was the only option I had. I had no witnesses around me. I already seen where this was going to go.
So why did you go back there?
What, that morning?
Yeah.
Because that's where I lived. That's where I lived. They told me, if you can't find nowhere to go, just go back. And when I went to work, I came home. She had all this locked up in the house.
So what did you do?
So then I just started recording. And she's on the phone talking to her boyfriend. Turns out her boyfriend called the cops. The cops come. When the cops come, they tell her, so what happened? She's saying, oh, I was banging in the door, whatever. And I've seen my mom get beat for 15 years, and I'd be darned I would put my hands on a woman. Sure, I have drug-related cases in my past, but I have never had anything violent. I mean, I weigh 150 pounds soaking wet. I'm not a threat to nobody, you know? And for her to accuse me of something that I did not do, and my dad had to send me bail money from New York. I spent my birthday in jail. I lost my job. And to add...
You mean, do you think that none of that had to do with the fact that you were using cocaine?
Nah, because that was like 2 days before.
Listen to me. If you used cocaine 2 days before, you used it 2 days before that, and 2 days before that.
Nah.
So you just used it once in anticipation of your birthday? Is that what you're telling me?
It was a get-together at her friend's house, so, I mean, they had it there, and it was just a little social, so we did it. So then later on, when I went back to the house, that's when she had all my stuff back.
How many times have you been arrested for possession of drugs? I don't want to say.
I believe twice.
Background check.
99 and 04.
Could it have been more than twice?
Not that I remember. Shouldn't be.
Well, you would know how many times you were arrested for drugs.
Twice. 99 and 04.
Now I'll take a look at the rap sheet.
7 times. Thank you.
Well, here's the 99 possession. They stop you on traffic violations, right?
Like tickets?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a couple tickets.
Charge 1 was a non-moving traffic violation, but charge 2 was cocaine possession on the same date. That was 2004.
Yeah, that was, a matter of fact, Christmas Eve, I believe.
Right. You had an arrest in 2005.
Yeah, I think. I mean, what's it
guilty?
for? And as you're looking at the report, I know you don't see anything violent in there.
Nothing violent. I see a trespass only.
Right. So that's, it's out of my character. Besides the fact I see my mom get beat all my life, so.
I'd like to see your film. And then I'd like to see your complaint. The complaint that you lodged against him.
Oh, yeah, I have it right here, ma'am.
That's the porch there. This is the morning I'm coming back from Publix. Boom, there's a chain.
What are you doing? You're not supposed to be in the house. I can come in the house. I have keys to the house. Get out. Those guys went into the microwave.
You're not allowed in the house. They told you you're only staying on the porch.
No, how about you use the bathroom, lady?
You're not.
Take a shower, lady.
You're not supposed to be
be in the bathroom. They said I'm not supposed to be in that bathroom. On the porch, Edgar. That's last night for you guys. Get the out of my face. I can't just stay on the porch. I got keys to the trailer, and you can't just put a chain on it and me not take a shower. You're not allowed in this. Well, then you gotta put something in there for me to cook it and bathe myself in bath. No, whatever. I just went in the house. Bro, that was just for last night. Oh, and did it tell you just for last night? Yes, I asked her, because I told her, look at the chain she put. Now, what am I supposed to do? She goes, well, just go outside and anything for tonight, but tomorrow's okay. They never said that's supposed to be in the house, you dimwit. Get the hell out of my house. They never said you're supposed to be in the house. I can come in the house and use the utilities I'm supposed to. Then why am I paying you rent for? You know what I mean? Do you want me to call so I can use the microwave over here? I'll call him, don't worry about it, I got the number.
There's only part of the tape. He did get in the house.
How did he get in the house?
He broke the chain. It's on the police report, Your Honor.
You did swear under oath, right? Yeah.
I hit speed dial on my boyfriend's phone because I was hysterical, and my boyfriend called the cops. It's a very small town. The next thing I knew, there were 4 cops. What he's not telling you is the night before, he had pushed me and tore the phone out of the wall, which he admits in the deposition and in the police report.
Can I see the police report,
ma'am.
please?
There were 2 incidences before that.
No, let me see the police report. Would you please, I must be missing it. Would you give this back to Ms. Kess? Would you please show me where he admits that he pulled the phone out of the wall?
Yeah, it's in the
just show me. You say that in the police report he admitted that he tore the phone out of the wall. Show me in the police report where he admits tearing the phone out of the wall. That would be a violent act, would it not, Mr. Felice? Ripping the phone out of the wall would be a violent act.
Yes, ripping the phone off the wall.
Okay, and you...
But unplugging a charger would not. There was no ripping. Unplugged.
Shh. Well, whether you pulled the phone out of the wall, sir, or you pulled the charger out of the wall so that she could not get to the police is irrelevant. Either way, your purpose was to prevent her from calling the police.
My purpose? Well, they came over that night.
Your purpose was to prevent her from calling the police. Otherwise, would you kindly tell me what was the reason that you pulled the charger out of the wall? Were you trying to make pancakes?
No, I was trying to give her a second to think about what she was doing.
You were trying to prevent her from calling the police.
To make a false report, yes. Because everything she did after that was false. She said I tried to kick in the door. She said I cornered it in the room. I mean...
It's over. You're not going to win the lottery here.
Nah.
It's finished.
I'm not looking for the lottery.
It's finished. First of all, you are not allowed to rent the porch on your trailer. It is an illegal thing that you're doing. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that? And you can't take money from him and then decide that he's too much trouble right in the middle of his month, because he paid you by the month or by the week?
He paid me by the week, and he was advertised as a roommate.
If he's a roommate, then he has kitchen privileges.
Correct, but that night the police said to stay out of the house until I went to the state's attorney's office the next day, which I got.
No, they gave him a cooling off night. That's what they do. They give him a cooling off night. The police do not have the power to evict him. They have the power to say to somebody when they get a call of alleged domestic violence, look, I don't see anything terrible going on here. Go take a walk, cool off tonight, things will look better in the morning. That's what the police will do. You do not have the right, after taking money from him, to lock him out. When you say he's a roommate, you didn't even...
Ma'am, there's no locks on the door. He was never locked out.
Well, he was locked out because there was a chain on the door.
That's my house, but they told me until we go to the state's attorney's office in the morning, I have an injunction, a restraining order. They said till I go to the state's attorney's office at 9 in the morning, he's not allowed.
Are you telling me that you got a restraining order between the time he left the night before and the time he came back in the morning? Of course not. You didn't. It's over. Move on with it. You did, in fact, commit a violent act. You prevented her from calling the police, which is what she wanted to do because she felt threatened. And you prevented her from calling the police by pulling her phone charger. Evidently, she doesn't have a phone that actually plugs in. She uses a portable phone that's charged into the wall. It's over. Forget about it. Finished. Both of you. Now that it's in my hands, you've filed a civil case. She had a lawyer. You had a lawyer. You all both spent all kinds of money. Finished. It's over. Forget it.
That's what I've been, I mean, this has been a year and something.
It's been a year. Your case is dismissed. It's been a year.
$4,000 in attorney fees.
I don't care. It's over. Finished. You both behaved inappropriately. He did and you did, because there was probably a little bit of what he said that was true. That you wanted him out, that you exaggerated a little bit once it became testy. There's no question in my mind, Ms. Cass, that that's what you did. But he provoked it. He can't come home high on cocaine. He doesn't even know what he's doing if he's high on cocaine. Do you understand, sir? Goodbye.
I wasn't.
Yeah, it's case number 499 on the calendar in the matter of Carrigan versus Carrigan.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. Carrigan, the defendant is your sister.
Yes.
Which one is the sister?
This one.
Who are you?
I'm her daughter.
Sit down. There came a time when you and your sister were living together in a house. Month and year that you moved in together in this house.
It was September of 2007.
Okay. Now, prior to that, according to you, Mr. Carrigan, you had purchased a handgun from your sister for $250. Then there came a time, subsequent to September of 2007, you're going to tell me the date, that you and the defendant had an altercation in the house. Police were called. Police confiscated the gun.
Yes.
Your sister says it's her gun. You say it's your gun. You paid for it. She was supposed to change the registration, sort of never got around to it. So the first thing I'm going to deal with is this gun. When did you purchase it?
I went up to Vancouver, Washington, and visited her.
Just give me a date.
Probably in November of 05.
And you had the gun unregistered since November of 05?
Yes.
And the police now have it?
Yes.
That's too bad. Right?
Yeah.
Perfect. You don't expect to get help from me in that area, do you?
Not at all.
So you don't get your money back and you don't get the gun back. Somebody gives you a handgun. This is not a little teeny handgun. This is a serious handgun. According to you, it's a Glock?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, in 4 years' time that you have it, it should have been registered. And the fact that it wasn't registered, you get no help from me. So the police now have the gun?
Yeah.
Perfect. It's where it belongs.
She was living out of state. I went up to see her.
I don't care.
Yeah. All right.
You're a grown man. In your jurisdiction, is the gun supposed to be registered?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she had asked me to take the gun because
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care what the reason is. You live in a jurisdiction where you're supposed to register handguns. You had the gun for 4 years, unregistered. You don't come to court to ask them to help to get your gun back.
Yeah.
That was your responsibility. All right, so that takes care of gun, over. Now, let's take care of rent. You moved out in November.
Yes, ma'am, we moved out because of the escalation of violence that he was displaying.
You didn't want to live there anymore. You moved out in November.
Thanksgiving Day.
And you paid rent for November.
Yes, ma'am.
What rent do you want?
Well, our agreement was that we would give each other a 60-day notice.
When did you make that agreement?
When we moved in. And
is that right?
First it was 90 days, then it was 60 days, then it went back to 90, then it went back to 60. He kept changing it. So it was difficult to determine.
Is it at least 30?
Yes. We had notified him in September that we would be moving out within the next couple months.
That's not true.
Well, tell me when that conversation took place, Ms. Carey.
I don't remember exactly what date, but it became very apparent in September that we had to move on.
When did you tell your brother that you were in fact moving out? In September it became apparent. Apparent
Yes.
is not a contract.
Well, I told him in September we're moving out and within the next couple of months.
No, she
That's
didn't.
not an answer.
And
No, that's no, Ms. Corrigan. That's not giving him notice that you're moving out within the next couple of months.
2 weeks before the incident where I had to call the police, I told them, him and his wife, that if there are any further incidents of violence or display of rage, that we would move out immediately.
Okay, so describe to me what happened on the 26th of November.
It was actually the Sunday before that we decided that we had to get out immediately.
Well, tell me what happened, because that's germane, because otherwise you are responsible for December's rent.
He and his wife were asking me what day I was moving out. I didn't know exactly what day I was moving out, so I was unable to answer their question.
Just a second. They said to you, what day are you moving out, and you answered what?
I said, I don't know. I'll know in the next few days. That was my answer.
Okay, I don't know. I'll know in the next few days.
Yes.
Did you tell them what month you would be moving out?
I did not.
Why not?
Because I didn't know exactly what day I was going to be moving out.
I didn't say day, Miss Corrigan. If you said, I don't know what day, but I'll be moving out in November, or I'll be moving out in December, that at least gives them some indication of when they have to start to look for someone else to take over part of the rent, if they need somebody else to take over part of the rent, because I assume you were there because you were paying rent.
Yes, we were
So
paying
why didn't
rent.
you tell them, I'm moving out in November? I don't know what date.
I was upset, and I didn't want to go into...
That's right. So you didn't give him an answer.
Correct.
So you didn't give him an answer.
that
You
he
didn't give him
wanted.
no, you didn't give him an answer because you were upset.
I was feeling cornered because in several occasions before that...
I don't care before that. He and his wife said to you, when are you moving out? Just give me a date. And you said, I can't give you a date because I don't know now. When you in fact knew you were moving out in November. So you chose not to do that. Go ahead, I'm listening.
So he didn't like that I wasn't going to give him a specific date because I didn't know.
Just tell me what he said to you and what you said to him, not that he didn't like. I don't want to hear he didn't like.
Okay. He was getting upset, more and more upset, and I said, you know, this is not a time to continue this conversation. I'm going to go into my room.
What did he say to you?
I don't remember exactly what he was saying to me.
I just was asking her when she was going to move out.
Well, he was yelling at me.
Don't speak. You were asking her when she was moving out. She said to you, I don't know when I'm moving out. I can't give you a date. Then you said to her what?
I said, well, we need to know so we can make arrangements ourselves.
Okay, and she said to you what?
I don't have to answer you. I don't have to talk to you.
And then?
And then she went into her room and shut the door.
And then?
That's when I took the picture and broke the picture.
So you took a picture.
Out of pure frustration.
And you broke it.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's part of what she's suing for. So that you know you're responsible for.
I don't feel like I am.
Well, listen, you want to talk about your feelings, go someplace else. I don't care about your feelings.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robert Carrigan says his sister Deborah Carrigan and her daughter Rachel Lopez owe for rent, bills, and the value of a gun. The defendants are countersuing for the return of their security deposit and destruction of property.
Okay, then what happened?
That's when I called the landlord and gave him a 30-day notice. But I had called him on November 1st and given him a 60-day notice because I'd been home from the hospital a couple weeks and I figured I'd be well enough to move by January.
What was wrong with you?
I had open heart surgery on October 8th.
So you gave the landlord 30 days notice?
Yeah, I gave him a 60-day notice on the 1st of November, and then they started giving me problems about paying the utility bills.
They had paid you for November?
No, they never paid me for the November bills.
Your Honor, we weren't giving him problems about paying the bills. I wanted to see copies of the bills.
Just one second. So do you have those bills?
Yeah.
Can I see them, please? And then I'll show them to her.
Here you go. I have this broke
What is
down.
this?
That's for getting the carpets cleaned after we moved out.
We had cleaned the carpets 3 months before we moved out.
But we had 3 dogs that...
I don't care whether, I'm not there yet.
Okay.
Would you show her the bills, please?
We had also...
Those are the bills. Look at them. What is her share of the utilities?
It came to $299.34.
And what was her share of the rent for December?
The rent is $330 each for them.
Are you suing her?
Yes.
Stand up. Did you pay your rent for December?
No, we did not live there in December.
You don't have to live there in December. Mother had an agreement. Did you have an agreement to give him notice too?
In September, we gave them notice saying that we would be gone.
No, she
No,
didn't.
you didn't. I find that you did not. I find that the statement, "we'll be moving out within a couple of months," is not giving them notice. So far, you owe him $959. That's for your share of the utilities and December's rent for the two of you.
Hey, he also...
Now, you have a counterclaim. Your counterclaim is for the value of the picture.
Yes.
That he owes you. How much was the photograph?
I went and had an estimate done, what it would cost to restore this picture.
And reframe it.
And the estimate just for the picture is $269.38.
Let me see it, please.
And then I have 3 different price ranges of frames ranging from like $35 to $80 to replace the frame.
Can I see the photograph, please? Oh, it's a great picture. Okay. We have to pay for that, sir. All right. Your counterclaim is for the value of the picture and the return of your security deposit. You had a security deposit of $900?
That is correct.
And he had a security deposit of $900. And you moved out when?
On December 23rd.
How much did you get back from the landlord?
We didn't get anything back because there was a redwood.
Just a second. I just want to know if you got anything back.
No.
Do you have a statement from the landlord that indicates that you're not getting anything back?
Yes.
I'd like to see it, please.
Here it is.
How many dogs did you have?
I have 2 dogs.
What kind?
I have a Labrador Retriever and then a mix. He's about 30 pounds.
And you?
I have an Australian Shepherd.
This is excessive traffic and chewing of the redwood railings.
It was his dog that did the chewing.
Okay, very good. You don't get your security deposit back. It costs more than that to fix that and to clean the carpets, according to the bills that are there. Okay, your sister owes you $659. I have given you credit for the photograph restoration and framing. Clear?
Yes.
That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He was displaying escalating fits of violence.
It was actually pure frustration at the fact that she wouldn't give me a straight answer.
We had to get out of there.
I do not consider him family anymore.
I'm done with him.
It's over.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of loss versus loss. Step forward, please.
Deborah Loss is suing her son, 25-year-old Michael Loss, for loans to pay off debt and to make his car insurance payments.
This is your son.
Yes.
How many children do you have, Mrs. Loss?
I have 2.
How old is this one?
He's 25.
And your other one?
29.
Does your 29-year-old live at home?
No. He's
On his
married.
own?
Yes.
Married on his own.
Yes. 2 children.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Loss?
I'm a manager of a restaurant.
For how long?
Going on 3.5 years.
Why does your mother take care of your son?
Why? Mostly because she chooses to. I mean, she wants to go and spend time with her and she enjoys it. I mean,
What I'm asking you is how come he doesn't live with you?
well, he does. I mean, it's a back and forth, you know what I mean? Like, he stays with me and then he'll go there sometimes on the weekend whenever she's out of school. And
Who takes care of him when you're at the restaurant?
my girlfriend
Is that right?
or my mother,
And where is the child's mother?
she's at home.
So you live with the child's mother,
Yes,
but your mother takes care of him a good deal of the time.
yes.
You advanced your son some money on condition that he would pay you back.
Yes.
I believe that was for insurance.
Yes.
How much did you advance him?
I paid a total of $1,344.
Was this car insurance?
Yes, ma'am.
Did your mother pay for your car insurance for you?
Yes, she did.
That's what you seem to indicate in your answer, that you did in fact borrow this money from your mother, but you don't have to return it because she lost an inheritance that was rightfully yours.
Yes.
All right. When you initially borrowed this money from your mother, did you ever tell her that you would pay her the money back?
Yes, I did.
When did you tell her that you would pay her the money back?
I told her that I would give her money at the beginning of every month.
For the insurance?
Yes.
When did you change your mind?
I decided that I needed this money that she had lost during her bankruptcy, and I didn't feel that I should be entitled to pay it back.
Mrs. Loss?
Yes.
How often does your grandson stay with you?
He stays with me just about every weekend, sometimes a couple days during the week, quite often.
So you enjoy having your grandson around?
I love it.
Good. Okay, tell me about this inheritance, sir.
Okay, it was actually through my grandmother. She gave this money to my mother, and my mother had it in her name. And it was, I'm not exactly sure the exact amount. I think it was around about a 12 to 13,000, which is supposed to be split evenly for tuition for school between me and my brother, which my grandmother had explained to me.
How long ago was this?
It was probably 9 years ago, maybe 8, I don't know.
Okay, go ahead.
And that's just basically all that I really ever knew about it. And then my mother had to file bankruptcy due to her last marriage, and it was like a down spiral for her as far as she had to go into debt. Well, during that bankruptcy, she lost everything. She lost all the tuition money for me and my brother, her van, and a few other things. And it upset me, you know what I mean, because I was planning on going to college. But as of right now, I've got a son, and I've been trying to work to do better. But
Who did you live with when you were growing up?
my mother,
Did she work?
yes, she did.
What kind of work did she do?
She was a school teacher, and plus she even worked a second-time job after she got out of school.
Is there any particular reason why her finances became difficult?
Due to her ex-husband's medical condition.
What was the nature of his medical condition?
He had epilepsy and had a bunch of hospital bills, which drove my mother into debt.
So there were medical bills that she was responsible for because he was her husband.
Right.
And?
Honestly, I don't think that she should have allowed for it to continue. And otherwise, I don't think I would have had to have lost that tuition money. You know what I mean? That was I was entitled to.
Mr. Loss, if you had said to your mother a year and a half ago, I'd like you to pay for my insurance on my truck or my car because I really can't afford to pay it, and you really owe me that money anyway because I think, wrongly, I will tell you, but I think that since you lost Grandma's money that I was really supposed to have, you didn't lose it gambling or drinking. I mean, she was taking care of her responsibilities and at the same time taking care of her two sons. But if you had said that to her right up front, I would say, and if your mother continued to give you this money, then you would write. But that's not what happened, Mr. Loss. What happened was you said to your mother, I'll pay you each month. And then you said, well, I really shouldn't have to pay her back. Why shouldn't I have to pay her back? Well, maybe because the sky is blue, maybe because it's Tuesday, maybe because it's Friday. Maybe because 9 years ago, she lost my grandmother's money that I was supposed to have. What if she didn't have money to feed you? Do you think she should have used Grandma's money? Of course. If your grandmother wanted you to have the money, sir, she would have put the money in trust for your first name?
Michael.
Michael Loss. And your brother?
He came to me asking for a loan of $1,500. The reason why I gave him the loan of $1,500 was that he had given me $400 of his stimulus check towards his insurance. So I felt, since he was trying to make an attempt to pay back some monies, that I would go ahead and take out the $1,500.
Did he say anything about using this inheritance money as a write-off?
No.
No. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
What'd you need the $1,500 for?
To catch up on my cell phone bill, and I had a power bill that was high too.
See what happens? Even though you work, sometimes you work, you don't make enough money. Just like your mother. She worked, she was a school teacher according to you, had the second job, but then all of a sudden her husband got sick. She had hospital bills, so with best intentions and working very hard, she still couldn't deal with it, right?
Right. That's correct, man.
Aren't you sorry you're here?
Am I sorry?
Yeah.
No.
You should be. $2,844. That's what you owe your mother, and an apology. That's all.
That's case number 344 on the calendar in the matter of Crawford versus Clark. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Young folks have a seat.
Miss Crawford, it is your claim that Miss Clark's daughter injured your son.
Yes.
Your son is 5. Your daughter is how old?
11.
And you want Miss Clark to be responsible not only for medical bills, but for his pain and suffering.
Yes.
Miss Clark says you are responsible because you should have been watching your son more carefully. Your son is responsible because he was misbehaving. Everyone's responsible except her daughter. Right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Over here. What's your first name?
Cameo.
You know this young man?
Yes, I do.
What's his name?
Devontae Crawford.
Do you remember when this incident happened?
Yes, I do.
What's the date?
June 20th, 2008.
You were in your house?
Yes.
Do you have a private house or an apartment?
Apartment.
What floor do you live on?
First floor.
Who was home with you?
Actually, I was staying with my auntie.
So was this in your house or your aunt's house?
My house.
So you were home, and who was home with you?
Nobody.
You were home alone?
Yes.
How long had you been home alone?
I only came downstairs for like 5 minutes.
Your aunt lives in the building?
Yes.
So you had your own key to get into the house?
Yes, I do.
What time was that?
I don't remember.
Morning, afternoon, or evening?
Afternoon.
Was it a school day or a non-school day?
It was a school day, but I didn't go to school.
Why didn't you go to school?
Because my graduation was on Monday and I had to do my hair.
Who was doing your hair?
Actually, that day I was pulling it out.
What does that mean?
Like I was pulling out the braids out my hair to do it.
And you were doing that in whose house?
My house.
Where was your mother?
She went to work.
So you weren't at your aunt's house. If you were pulling out your hair, you just told me you were at your house. What time did you go to your aunt's house?
When my mom was leaving, she brought me up there.
Did your mother know you were staying home from school?
Yes.
How do you do in school?
I'm a really well-behaved child.
How do you do academically in school?
Really good.
Okay, so now why don't you tell me what happened when you were in your house with Devontae?
I was actually upstairs with my auntie where my mom dropped me off. And I came downstairs.
Don't look over there, look over here.
And I came downstairs to give my brother something, but when I came down there, he wasn't there. So then I came inside and I heard him throwing things out the window. So
Just a minute. What did you go inside your apartment for if your brother wasn't there?
I went inside there for icy.
So you went inside to get something to eat?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And then I heard them throwing things at the window, and I went there.
Who throwing things at the window?
Like a lot of kids in the backyard.
And what were they doing in the back?
They was fooling around and throwing rocks at the window.
Which window?
My window.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
So when I looked out the window and I told them to stop, and they told the rest of them not to listen to me. So I tried to scare them by throwing out the water out the window.
What water?
The water from the pipe. So I was trying to
What pipe?
The kitchen pipe.
You got water from the kitchen sink?
Yeah.
Hot water?
No, not hot water.
Well, Devontae was burned.
The first few times when I was throwing the water, it was not hot.
But then you kept throwing the water.
Yeah, until like the water eventually got hot. And then when I finally someone I threw it out, I heard somebody scream. So I went outside to see what happened when his mother and his family was actually yelling at me. And she said she was gonna call the cops, so I got scared and ran.
So you stayed downstairs for quite a while.
Yeah.
You weren't supposed to be there alone, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I wasn't supposed to be in there.
Alone?
Yeah.
At all? Right?
Yes.
Your claim, Ms. Crawford, is that your son was injured and he had at least second-degree burns on part of his body.
Yes.
Do you have the medical records?
Yes.
I'd like to see them, please. Ms. Clark, you do understand that Ms. Crawford's son had second-degree burns on his body as a result of what your daughter did?
Yes, Your Honor.
So what I'd like you to do is try to explain to me, madam, why you do not think that you are responsible minimally to pay the medical bills, in as much as your daughter was home from school for no reason, violation of the education law, unsupervised, because while you may have left her upstairs, she clearly violated your rule and was downstairs alone. Because if you think I believe this whole story about, she went in for an ice pop, I don't believe that, and neither should you. So somebody has to pay these medical bills. Now you're going to explain to me why you think it shouldn't be you, as the parent of this young lady, who caused the damage.
Okay, I felt like I was responsible because he was in the back of the building, and that's something that I'm not going to say only him, a whole bunch of kids, they do on a daily basis. I will come home from work and there'll be rocks in my bathroom because I be leaving the bathroom window open a little bit from them staying in the back of the building and throwing rocks. When I spoke to Miss Crawford after the incident, me and my mom went to her house the same evening because I was at work, and my sister-in-law called me at work because that's obviously where she ran to after she was confronted by Miss Dawn about what she did. And my sister-in-law called me at work. I work like 2 hours from home, so it took me a while to get home. When I got there, my mom already went and got her back from my sister-in-law. They spoke to the cops, so I went and asked her family. They told me she didn't come back from the emergency room yet. I seen her the next day, and she told me he would be all right if he just takes his medication. I seen him on a couple of occasions, and she kept telling me he was fine. So I didn't know I was going to be held responsible for a bill.
Do you think that you're responsible for the bill? Do you think that your daughter's responsible for the bill?
Well, my daughter's a minor and I'm a minor.
Right,
so.
She's a minor. So then that would mean that if she would be responsible, you would have to pay the bill as her mother.
Well, she didn't know it was hot. I guess she turned the faucet on and kept running back and forth, so eventually...
That's what she did.
I guess it got hot.
You say she put water in a cup and threw it down at the children, but that's really not what happened. What happened is she kept going back and forth, right? She threw a lot of water at the children.
Used that. She told me she did it 3 times.
Do you believe her?
Yeah, I believe that.
Okay.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Dawn Crawford says 11-year-old Cameo Forbes poured scalding water on her 5-year-old son, causing second-degree burns.
Okay. Your name is?
Devontae Williams.
Okay, so you were throwing some rocks at the window?
No, it was other people, her cousin.
Whose cousin?
Camille's.
Is that her name, Camille or Cameo?
I don't know her real name. Just call her Camille.
So Camille's cousin was in the back?
Yeah.
How old is that person?
7.
Was that person throwing rocks?
Yes.
Get up. Stand next to your mother. Was your cousin throwing rocks? You better tell me the truth. You looked outside. Was your cousin there?
Yes, she was there.
Did you throw water at her?
Yes.
Did you tell your mother she was throwing rocks?
Yes, I did.
She told me she was throwing rocks. My niece told me she was back there doing it too.
Did you see anybody else throwing rocks? Just make sure you answer the question. Did you see anybody else other than your cousin throwing rocks?
Yes, I did.
Who?
Like her little friends and these other kids.
Do you know who they were?
Yes, I do.
Now you can go sit down. You know you did the wrong thing, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You are absolutely 100% responsible for the medical bills that Ms. Crawford had for her child. What were your medical bills?
The medical bills, the total is $1,773.91.
She's bigger than you are. She can cause a lot of damage if she doesn't do the right thing. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
What do you think would have happened if she scalded and caused second-degree burns on your niece?
I'll be in the same amount of trouble as I am today, Your Honor.
Oh, a lot of trouble in your family, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Of course. Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,773. Yes.
Pictures of the damages.
I'd like to see. Terrible. Ms. Crawford, if this was an adult, I guarantee you, you would receive punitive damages. You understand that?
Yes.
She may be a big girl for her age, but she's still 11.
And she was 10 when it actually happened.
Terrible, terrible scars. Have you seen these pictures?
No.
Well, I want you to come up here. It's pretty bad, isn't it?
Yes.
Think that hurt a lot?
Yes.
Think you owe him an apology?
I already did.
Good girl.
She never did.
Yes, she did.
Yes, I did.
I made sure she did.
Shh. When did you apologize to
When
him?
I came back from Jamaica, like, they was outside playing, and I went outside, and he was like, hi, Camille, and I was like, hi, Devontae, I'm sorry.
Did she say sorry to you, Devontae?
Yes, I did. I have witness.
Okay. You owe him a big-time apology. Did you apologize to him right after it happened?
No, because right after it happened, I didn't see him.
You should have gone over to see him.
I wanted to take her, but she said she was scared, so I went by myself with my mother.
You should have taken her over there. Take these back and show them to your mother.
She was supposed to show me the pictures because my sister said
Just
she
a
was going to
second.
show
Don't
me,
blame
but she
anybody
didn't.
else.
I'm not, Your
Don't blame
Honor.
it. Just take a look at those pictures, and I want you to think what you would have done if somebody did that to your daughter when she was 5. Do you have any idea what you would have done?
I'll be upset, but
Upset?
I don't know what level I would take it to, Your Honor, but I know I'll be upset.
Go back to your mom. Children are not supposed to be left unsupervised.
I didn't leave her unsupervised, Your Honor. She was supposed to be with my sister like she told you.
Then your sister was irresponsible because your daughter was downstairs in the apartment for more than 5 minutes. She told me 5 minutes, but she decided to take care of her hair downstairs in the apartment.
She was not supposed to. My sister, what happened? Why she didn't go to school?
I know.
She wasn't supposed to be there.
I know. Your sister did not do the right thing. But ultimately, you're the parent. So if somebody did this to your daughter when she was 5 or 11, you would be furious, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. You feeling all right now?
Yes.
You're not going to throw rocks, are you?
No.
Good. Don't hang around with people that throw rocks either. Okay? Good. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm going to take responsibility for what happened. And I agree with the judge.
My son really suffered. He had a lot of damages.
There's always kids back there throwing rocks out the window.
She did it on purpose. She told me she did it on purpose.
She was just tearful and scared because Devontae actually, she said, was her friend and she didn't mean to hurt him.
She came up the window and she started pouring water.
I heard him scream in the backyard.
That's when I seen Camille in the doorway saying, I didn't mean to do it. I didn't mean to do it.
Everybody was just yelling at me. I didn't even get to see him.
She was saying that she poured boiling water out the window and that she didn't mean to do it on Devontae.
I should not throw hot water through the window on nobody.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Horsley versus Denon. Step forward, please.
Johnny Horsley is suing horse trainer Linda Denon for the return of a saddle. Johnny says his 15-year-old granddaughter sold it to her without his permission.
Mr. Horsley, I assume this is your granddaughter.
Yes, Judge.
And she was staying with you?
Yes, ma'am.
For how long?
She's usually there on the weekends, plus all summer.
According to your complaint, you let your granddaughter borrow your saddle, a saddle that you owned.
Yes, ma'am.
And it was an expensive saddle, and she sold that saddle without your permission to the defendant.
Yes.
You want the saddle back?
Definitely.
And Ms. Denon says she sold it to somebody else.
Yes.
Okay, step up. How do you know Ms. Denon?
They're our neighbors. See them riding down the road every now and then.
Do they have horses?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you ride horses there?
Not with them, but at my grandparents', yes.
Tell me about this saddle.
Our neighbor gave it to us as a gift.
Gave it to who as a gift?
My grandfather.
To me.
Shh, I'm not speaking to you. When?
Sometime over the summer.
Was it a used saddle or a new one?
It was new, but it was 3 years old.
Did you pay for the saddle, Mr. Horsley?
No, ma'am. It was given to me by my neighbor. It still had the price tags on it. It had never been on a horse.
Could you tell me why she gave you such an expensive gift?
I do a lot for my neighbor. She's divorced, and she has 20 acres, and I help her a lot.
And what was the price tag on the saddle?
She paid, with tax and everything, a little over $2,000, ma'am.
And you allowed your granddaughter to use it for the first time?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you do with it?
I just used it on my horse.
Well, tell me how it came about that you sold it to the defendant.
I was riding one day, and her daughter-in-law invited me to go riding with some of the girls that ride down there with them. And we were just talking, and I brought up that one of her saddles looked like mine. And I brought up that I had two, and I was thinking about selling the one that I didn't use. And just came about that she wanted to go look at it because she was interested in it, and just took her down there and see the saddle.
Well, how could you sell something that wasn't yours?
At the time, I thought it was mine.
What made you think that it was yours?
Because I thought that the neighbor gave it to me as a gift because it was using it.
Explain that to me.
I thought she was gonna let me use it on my horse, so I thought it was gonna be mine.
So you thought it was your saddle to sell?
Yes.
How much did you sell it for?
I sold it for $250.
Did Miss Denon ask you if you could sell it, if it was yours?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you say?
I said it was mine, and that I was thinking about selling it because I had no use for it because it didn't fit my horse.
It didn't fit your horse?
No, ma'am.
And on what date did you actually give her the saddle?
On August 23rd.
And when did you tell your grandfather that you would sold the saddle?
The same day.
And what did he say to you?
He wasn't very happy about it.
And when, Mr. Horsley, did you contact Miss Denon about getting it back?
The next day, on the 24th, on a Sunday.
Go ahead. I'll hear you now.
Yes, he contacted us. I had already picked up the saddle and taken it to a friend of mine who wanted the saddle for her granddaughter. And I met her partway between Orlando and Tampa, exchanged the saddle for the money. Originally, she had asked $150 for it, and we said that we felt that it was worth more than that. We offered her $250 because it was in very good condition. It was a good saddle.
Give me the name of the person who you exchanged it with within a 24-hour period.
Jean.
She a friend of yours?
Yes.
And how much did you sell it to her for?
$250.
And you sold it for $250 because you knew that it was a $2,000 saddle.
No, I sold it for $250 because in the market the way it is today, nobody's paying what they should pay for saddles or what you could get a few years ago.
It was less than 24 hours that Mr. Horsley contacted you. When did you contact Jean and tell her that you had this saddle?
On August 23rd, while the saddle and Christine was still in the house, I called Jean.
Then you better get the saddle back from Jean. I don't like the way you do business. Your responsibility is to get it back from your friend Jean, who wasn't even a buyer in due course, because you had a brand new saddle that you were paying 10% on the dollar on, and you were buying it from somebody who was underage. I can't even say it's a good faith sale.
There is no way for us to know she was underage.
I could look at her and could tell.
Today she looks underage.
Miss Denon, that's your problem. The law doesn't give you that luxury. The law says she is underage. Your responsibility is to get the saddle back from your friend Jean. Do it.
She won't give it back to me.
Really?
No.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. Then you deal with that. That's all.
Yeah, it's case number 570 in the matter of DeLay versus Peterson.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Ms. DeLay, you and the defendant were friends throughout high school, and no quicker way to destroy a friendship very often than to become roommates in college. Two of you decided to share an apartment together. You signed a lease to a 2-bedroom apartment. It didn't work out, and you both moved out.
Correct.
You paid the transfer fee, allowing each of you to move into a 1-bedroom apartment. You want Ms. Peterson to be responsible for half of that transfer fee, plus her part of the cable bill that you say was in your name.
Yes.
Ms. Peterson says that your behavior and things that went on in the apartment made it impossible to stay there. She says that you wanted to move out, so you pay the transfer fee. And as far as the cable is concerned, she says you put a password on there that precluded her from using the internet and cable. She has no intention of paying it. She's counterclaiming for some nonsense. She wants you to return all the rent she paid because she didn't have a good time. Well, that's about what it is. So that's ridiculous. But I'll let you explain it to me in a very short period of time.
Okay.
Okay. When did you move into the apartment?
We signed the lease July 8th, and I moved in July 8th.
And Miss Peterson moved in 2 months later.
Correct.
Okay. When did you sign the transfer agreement?
I don't have the exact date, but it was end of January. I moved into my new apartment, I believe, end of January, early February.
All right. So that Miss Peterson lived there September, October, November, December. And when did you move out?
I moved out on the 16th of January.
Now, you're going to explain to me, Ms. Peterson, why you are not responsible for 1/2 of the transfer fee that permitted the two of you to go your separate ways. You were both unhappy, correct?
Yes.
Both unhappy. You explain to me why you should not be responsible for half that transfer fee.
Okay. Back in July, in the summer, Veronica expressed to me that she wanted me to find a new roommate to cover her half of the lease. And I went forward with that, and I found a roommate.
In July?
In July, before we were even living together. Because of the cable internet bill, because I said I wasn't going to pay it. Because I didn't need it. I don't watch TV, and I had friends who were moving upstairs who said I could use their internet, or I could go down to the common room where they offer it for free. So I found a roommate, and in the end of August, the first weekend before school, I spoke to Veronica, and she said, "Oh, I'm not moving out anymore." So.
And in September you stayed?
I did, because I had no choice.
Fine, you stayed.
Right.
But things were not good.
No. In November, I moved most of my things upstairs to my friend's apartment, and I was hardly ever at the apartment. If I was, I locked myself in my room because I didn't feel comfortable with her and her boyfriend being there all the time. I was scared, and I felt harassed and threatened by her.
Listen to me. Then you should be very happy that she said, let's sign off on this lease and it'll cost us each $600.
Well,
and then we're out of each other's hair.
Well, at that point, I was so frustrated with everything I had been put through that...
Get unfrustrated. Get unfrustrated and grow up. It wasn't good. It wasn't a good situation.
Well, can I say something?
Yeah, say whatever you want to say.
My mom and my father and I all discussed commuting because we didn't want to give Veronica any more money. I had paid for her boyfriend to sleep over multiple times. I was never there.
Listen to me.
It was like having a third roommate, though.
I don't care. Listen, your parents care if you're unhappy.
Right.
Your parents care. Courts don't care if you're unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
Courts don't care if you don't like her boyfriend sleeping over. They don't care.
Well, there's a clause in the lease that says that no person can stay more than 14 nights, and I kept track on a calendar, and it exceeded the 14 nights, and we got a possible eviction notice from it.
Yeah.
Your Honor,
Just a second.
Okay.
All of that suggests to me that you should be very happy to find a new place all by yourself.
I wasn't even living there, though, at that point.
That's your choice.
Right.
That's your choice. What do you want?
I wanted to say something on Elizabeth's defense, Your Honor.
That?
I'm her mother, and on December 16th, my husband and I went into the Peninsula. We hooked up the cable and the TV and the DVD player. And
because Veronica would no longer
just
let
a
me use
second.
hers.
Right. Elizabeth wasn't able to use it. We went downstairs and we met with the Peninsula management, and we wanted Veronica to sign off the lease. That's what we needed, so we wouldn't be responsible for the apartment any longer. And what we were going to do was have Elizabeth commute. So there was no reason for us to pay a transfer fee. But Veronica is the one that wanted to move out. She wanted her own apartment. And yes, we did want that too.
Your daughter wasn't staying there. She wasn't staying there because she was unhappy. Either she breaks the lease or she signs a transfer agreement. Those are the options.
But that was the option for Veronica too. She could have broken the lease.
Just to say, she could have. This is a much better thing to do rather than breaking the lease, to sign an orderly transfer agreement so that the landlord doesn't say, I'm stuck because they broke the lease. What I want to do is I want to move into another place. This is what it's going to cost. Otherwise, I'm on the hook for the entire year lease from January until the following June.
But I didn't trust that Veronica would do anything. She hadn't done it in the past.
I don't care what you trusted. Right now, it's a fait accompli. It's done. Your daughter is responsible for half the transfer fee on the apartment. There's no issue with regard to that. The only issue that I have for you, Ms. DeLea, is did you have a password or any device that precluded the defendant from using the internet and or cable?
I had a password.
Just a second. That's either a yes or a no.
On the internet, yes.
Did she say to you at any point, I'm not interested in cable?
She told me in November.
That's either a yes or a no.
In November, yes.
What month's cable do you think she's responsible for half of?
September through January.
She's not.
Okay.
She's not responsible for any of those.
Your Honor, she disconnected my cable in December, and even though I was still paying for it, prevented me from watching it.
I don't care. There has to be a contract. There has to be an agreement.
Your Honor, I have
Listen to me very carefully.
Yes, ma'am.
There has to be a contract and an agreement.
I have one.
For
I
whom?
have an email, her writing that she would be responsible for half of all the cable and internet and electric bills.
Just a second. Did you tell me that you put a password so she could not use the internet?
There was a password on it originally, but... Excuse me.
I'm asking your daughter a question. Sit. You too.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Veronica DeLea says her former roommate, Elizabeth Peterson, owes for cable bills and an apartment transfer fee. Elizabeth is countersuing for the return of rent and harassment.
I'm asking whether she told you she wasn't going to use the internet and you put a password on there that precluded her from tapping into the internet in your apartment.
I was required to put a password on the internet from the beginning, so yes, there was a password.
Did she have it?
No, ma'am.
Then she's not responsible for it.
Okay.
But she's responsible for half the transfer fee.
I just...
Put your hand down.
Okay.
Stop being a baby. That's what you're responsible for. Just tell me what half the transfer fee is.
Half the transfer is $625.
Fine. You owe her $625 for that. Now, you want to give me your counterclaim in 30 seconds or less?
I have a breakdown of the
I'm not interested in your breakdown. Yeah, you have 30 seconds or less to tell me about your counterclaim, which is nonsense.
Well, my countersuit was because Veronica was using drugs in the apartment, and I'm on a full scholarship at my school, and that really, I could have lost my scholarship if she got caught at the apartment because we both signed the lease.
But you didn't.
No, we didn't, but one of the security guards approached me saying that he smelled...
You can't tell me anything that a security guard told you.
I have a report from him.
You can't tell me anything that anybody else said to you or wrote out in a statement that is hearsay. Do you have a police report?
I talked to the lieutenant of the police station because the security guard had him come down.
That's hearsay.
Well, I called and they didn't have a report. I was very surprised.
Oh, listen, you happy now with your new roommates?
Yes, but I'm unhappy that my scholarship was in jeopardy. Well, and it was like having a third roommate there at the apartment.
My dear, did you lose your scholarship?
No.
Good. You owe her $625 transfer fee and your counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She demanded that I had to ask her permission for every visitor.
But I asked just in case I had to test the next day because the walls are paper thin, you can hear everything through them.
We had to divide the cabinets in the kitchen.
I asked for one cabinet to put all my snacks in because I eat all organic.
I don't know. She just went crazy, pretty much.
She just doesn't care, so I'm going to live with people who aren't as selfish.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Polk versus Eskine. Step forward, please.
Victor Polk is suing the mother of his son's friend, Renata Eskine, for the cost to fix his car. Victor says Renata's son, 17-year-old Kerry Thomas, damaged the vehicle when he tried to jump over it.
Who jumped over the car? Raise your hand.
I did.
Stand over there. Mr. Polk, it is your claim that the defendant damaged your car.
Yes, ma'am.
He was playing a game with your son. I assume your son is sitting over there?
Yes, ma'am. That's Valentina.
And the game was to jump over your car.
Yeah.
Mrs. Eskine's son jumped over your car, landed on your car, dented your car. You want him to pay for your car.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Mrs. Eskind has some ridiculous defense. She says that your son goaded her son into jumping over the car.
That's correct.
That's wrong. Nobody goads somebody into doing something that's wrong and doesn't take responsibility.
He took responsibility.
Then he has to take responsibility for paying for the damage that he caused to the car. Reasonable?
Reasonable.
Great. So the only question is how much, right?
No, ma'am.
Why?
Because he didn't jump it alone, and he wasn't involved in it alone. They did it together. Both parents are both.
Just a second, Miss Eskind, are you telling me that this young man jumped on and damaged the car?
Yes.
Okay, you. Talk to me.
Tell him.
You talk to me.
Well, we were outside one October night with me,
Listen,
him, and so.
I don't care if it was an October night, whether it was starry or not. All I want to know is you, an idiot over here, were playing a game of jumping over a car. Which idiot fell on the car?
I slid into the car.
Not him.
No, ma'am.
Then your mother is wrong. Put your hand down. Miss Eskind, I'm telling you what the law is. That's why you're here. Not what you feel in your gut as a mother. What the law is. He was lucky. He didn't cause damage to the car. He wasn't lucky. He did cause damage to the car.
The mother caused damage also.
No, my dear. Not according to your son. You don't have your listening ears on. Not according to your son. According to your son, the only one that went into the car, slid into the car, was him. That's what he told me. So your thinking process, while understandable that the boys are playing and they should both be responsible, is not what the law is. The law does not prescribe that he has to pay for damage that he did, because he can say, no, I'm not doing it. You want to do it to your father's car? That's fine. No, I'm not doing it. And if he didn't do it, then there wouldn't be damage to the car. Is that right, Mr. Eskind?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The only question I have for you,
yes,
I'm not finished, Your Honor.
You're finished. The only question I have for you, sir, is I looked very carefully at your complaint. You said that initially wasn't such a big deal, but then you realized that you had just had the car in a custom paint job.
Yes, ma'am.
Because it's a designer car. What kind of car is it?
Vintage 1991 Ford Mustang 5.0 convertible.
Okay. This incident happened on what date?
We don't have a date.
What date?
October the 10th.
I want to see the bill for painting the car prior to October 10th.
My initial paint job? My painter?
Don't give me a big story.
I don't have
Mr. Polk.
I don't have the receipt.
That's my problem.
The painter that painted my car, his name's Carlos. He's in America on a work visa from Mexico. I went back to Carlos to see if he could get me a receipt. Our business was cash based, so therefore he did not.
Show me a withdrawal from your bank for $2,300.
I don't have a withdrawal
I don't
receipt.
believe you, sir. Then I don't believe that you spent $2,300 to paint your car. That's my problem. Got what I mean? I want to see a picture of the damage to the car.
Sure. These are before and after pictures. If you take a look at the paint job on that car, you'll see that it's an immaculate paint job.
It may be an immaculate paint job, sir. You should have gotten me a receipt.
Why is it in the front yard?
Just a second. I'm not speaking to you.
I was showing it off.
Put your hand down.
I'm proud of my car.
Why is it in the front yard?
Well, this whole fender has to be painted. There's no question about that. And it has to be fixed. There's a dent in it. Now I'll see your estimates to fix it. Oh, so this time you took it to a Chevrolet place?
Yes.
The first time you took it to an all-cash guy?
Carlos is no longer in Nashville, in my hometown.
Yeah, you're going to have to get it done for less. What do you want?
Your Honor, he's been working on this car for 5 years. He redid the inside
I've
of
got more
it.
than $10,000.
Let me ask you
invested
this
in
question,
car.
sir. Did you discuss with your child the game he was playing over your car?
Oh, yes, I did.
I want you to tell me about the discussion that you were having with the idiot about jumping over the car.
I told him that it was a ridiculous thing to do.
And what did he say to you?
He said he wasn't thinking. And that's the only explanation. Would you like to get up and tell her?
Yes, ma'am. Can I get up there and talk to you quick?
Oh, be my pleasure.
Well, first place, I didn't jump over the car at all. Like, I'm sorry. But the whole thing started, like, when we were playing basketball.
If you say anything, a sentence with the word like in it,
I'm sorry.
you can sit down.
Okay. This is what happened. We started playing basketball, and I bet him. I was like, I bet you I can jump over my dad's car.
Sit down. I don't want to hear anymore. You're an idiot.
Man, can I finish real quick?
Sit down. Just sit down. Mrs. Eskind has to pay for your car, sir, but she's not going to pay any more for the car than I think it's worth, because I don't think that you have to have the whole car repainted.
You do not understand how much time and effort and money I've sunk into this car.
Your son should have been more careful with it.
I cannot.
Listen to me. Your son should have been more careful with it.
I understand that.
Good. Shouldn't have been playing basketball around it. You think it would have gotten dented if a basketball hit it?
That's why I don't let them play basketball near my car.
It was right in the yard by the street.
Did I ask you anything? You're responsible because he's responsible. He's bigger than you are.
I never said I wasn't.
Good. Okay, now what's the piece of paper you want to show me?
This is the very first estimate he brought to me.
That I'll see.
On the night of the election, of the president election.
So is what you're telling me that the first estimate is just Price's Collision Center was $614.42?
Correct.
This is what he gave you first?
Yes.
Can you explain the disparity to me, sir, between $614.42 and the $2,300 you want now?
That is just for replacement of the fender. It is not for matching of the paint or anything like that.
That's not true. It says
she told
paint.
me on our
That's
initial.
not true. But that's not. Hey, that's not true. It says paint, labor, 3.4 hours at $38 an hour, $129. Body labor, 3 hours, $114. Parts, $219. It has everything here. It all adds up to $614.42.
The car could not be painted on just
I
the
don't know
fender.
that, sir, at all. That's
I
your
never
first
received that.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $614.42. That's all.
Yeah, it's case number 563 on the calendar in the matter of Vow versus Hemstath.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
Ms. Bauer, you and the defendant were involved in a relationship. According to your complaint, in September of 2007, you left to go and study abroad in Germany. You left Mr. Hemstath? Sir, pay attention. I'm talking to you.
Hemstath, Your Honor.
Hemstath. You left Mr. Hemstath at home in the apartment that you had previously shared, and according to you, you left him with a credit card for emergencies. What were you doing, Mr. Hemstath? Stop fidgeting around. The
Yes, Your
time to
Honor.
examine your evidence is before you come in here, not while I'm talking to you. It's irritating. What were you doing at the time she was in Germany?
With regards to?
With regard to what you were doing when she was in Germany?
I was working, I was working, I was involved.
This is not a tryout. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
You were working. Doing what?
I was working as an advertising representative.
So why did you need her credit card?
Well, the plaintiff had decided that I needed the credit card.
Just a second. I'm not asking you what was in her mind. I'm asking you, why did you need her credit card if you were working?
I did not need the credit card.
Okay, so you didn't need it.
That's correct.
But you used it.
That's correct.
And ultimately, you returned and decided that this relationship was not a relationship that you wanted. According to you, the defendant incurred bills on your credit card in excess of $10,000, including an engagement ring that you are choosing to keep, which you will, of course, pay for. You charged an engagement ring on that credit card?
That was why we purchased, that was why the credit cards were
just answer
taken
my
out.
question.
Yes, Your Honor.
As I said to you, Mr. Hemsath, this is not an audition. Answer my questions so that I can make an informed judgment. Do you understand?
Yeah, I would just like to make sure that I get a chance to say exactly why we had these.
I don't give a rat's behind of the whys of anything, only the objective data. Do you understand, sir?
Yes.
Perfect. You claim that he has certain property that belongs to you. Mr. Hemsath says that the charges were made with your permission, and he has a counterclaim for a car that you repossessed that he made all the payments on. I'm going to start with his counterclaim, which should be easy. When she was in Germany, who had the car?
I did.
For a year.
For the time she was in Germany.
Which was how long?
She left in September. She arrived back and took the car from me in February.
Okay, so what you're going to show me, sir, is payments on the car from September to February. I'm waiting.
Yes.
What payments are you talking about, sir? To American Express?
No, you know, I have for you 9 months of bank transactions.
I'm not looking through 9 months of bank transactions, sir. I want to see
with highlighted.
Hey, you pay for a car either by direct deposit or by check. So I want to see either the checks or the payments made for those months.
That should be more helpful, Your Honor.
I have September for $2,000. Well, how much were the payments a month?
The payments were $326 a month.
What's your first name, sir?
Owen, Your Honor.
So you had a joint bank account?
She was added to the account. Yes.
You had a joint bank account?
Yes, we did.
Would you have him circle, please, the payments in September, October, November, December, and January?
Those statements are right here.
I said circle.
They are circled
the
and they are labeled, Your Honor.
So then why didn't you give me that in the first place?
I did give you, I turned that in and it was returned to me. So I am giving it back to you.
Are you kidding me or what? How much were the monthly payments?
I believe they were $326.
Show me payments for $326. Circle the payments for $326 for September, October, November, December, and January. And if you don't have it, don't give me any other piece of paper.
I do. I have it circled right here.
No. I see $2,000. I see $2,500 circled. Would you tell me why those are circled?
Yes, those were other costs attributed.
I don't care about other costs. I asked you to show me the payments. September, October, November, December, and January. I don't want to see anything else circled other than the car payment. $326.
Now on one...
Just a second. Say nothing. All I want to see circled is $326 5 times. And if you don't have it, say I don't have it.
I have an extra circle, so I just wanted to cross that out.
Extra circle I don't want to look at.
There you are, as requested, Your Honor.
That's better. Now you're going to tell me why you repossessed the car.
I came home from Germany in February, and whenever I was home, he had not returned my items out of the house when I told him I wanted to break up and I wanted to move my items out. He had charged all these credit card things. In February, the payment was late. He left 2 months of outstanding bills, all the credit card bills, a cell phone bill. I just helped him. So I was young and naive, and I helped him so much with my name and my credit, and he left me.
Okay, is that why you took it in retaliation?
I took it because he was making the payments late, and originally I helped him with the car. He got denied the car. He wanted to get this car. They said, nope, sorry, your credit isn't good enough.
$326 times 5 equals $1,630. That you're entitled to, sir.
How about the down payment, Your Honor?
Shh, just a second. The down payment came out of a joint account. I don't care.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Angela Bauer claims Owen Hemsath owes for credit card charges and for the return of her furniture and belongings.
Now, when two people decide to set up housekeeping and they're not married, There is no community property. I'm not going to go back to see where that money emanated from. You are entitled to $1,630, and you used the car for 5 months. Do you understand?
That's correct.
Good, perfect.
Now, I can make it really easy, though, to see where the 2,000
Don't
came
make
from.
my life easy. I don't need you to make my life easy. If you want to make my life easy and be successful, so far you're successful, $1,630 worth. You want to see that fly out the window?
No, Your Honor.
Then I would suggest you keep your mouth shut. Do you understand?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
May I say something?
No. Now, why do you give someone a credit card?
Because honestly, I had taken care of him for the 5 years, and he's irresponsible, and I loved him, and I was worried about him.
Then what do you want from me?
I was.
Then what do you want from me?
I trusted him that he said if he had an emergency, he would use a credit card, but he was to pay it off right away. I have written 1,000,000 times per email that he said he would pay the credit cards. It's for his fun.
I would like to see the emails that he wrote to you to say I will pay the credit cards. How much was the engagement ring?
$5,500.
If he's irresponsible and had no money, you had no reason to buy yourself an engagement ring for $5,500. Go get a cigar band if that's what he could afford. Do you understand?
Yeah,
That's
I
ridiculous.
understand.
That's your own ego.
Okay. They're on several pages, so I'm just flipping to one of the times that he said it. But I have it numerous times that he's going to pay the credit card bills.
I never saw an email like this.
There are chats, too.
Sir, did you say to the plaintiff, I will pay for everything on the credit card that is mine, minus the cost of the ring, which of course she's paying for. I will be happy to sign a commitment to pay off the entire amount within 6 months. The Honda is the Honda. I'm open to your suggestions. When you come to pick up everything, I'll be ready for you on February 23rd. Should you be unable to make it, you will be able to pick up your stuff anytime thereafter. Did you say that to her?
I have a hard time remembering writing that email, but if it's documented, I would have a hard time to refute that. I do know that I was trying to be reasonable. I wanted to make an arrangement, but it tended to be a zero-sum game where the plaintiff received everything and I received nothing. So I have a hard time remembering that email.
Can I see your credit card statement, please, for the months that he had it?
These are the things that are he had a secondary card linked to my account. This is a printout of only the purchases that he made. Most of them were for entertainment, gas, eating out, fun, an $800 kickboxing class.
How many Nextel accounts do you have?
Nextel accounts?
Yeah, Sprint accounts.
I have one Sprint account.
He has several lines on that account, and I did pay $2,000 to shut that phone off, which was in my name.
You mean you have a phone and it has several lines on the phone?
I had the phone until she took the Civic. The phone was in the Civic, and she never returned the phone.
Okay, but you used it.
Right, and those were agreed to purchases. She had every purchase.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. She's not supporting you. She didn't agree to support you.
Your Honor.
She didn't agree to support you. There were $4,871 of outstanding bills. That's not including the ring.
Your Honor, that card.
I'm speaking. I'm deducting from that the $1,630 that she owes you on your counterclaim. Okay.
Your Honor, I have statements that show that I paid payments on that credit card and to the plaintiff directly.
Great. I'm glad you did because they were your expenses. Now, let's go back to the property. What property do you have, sir, that belongs to the plaintiff?
I don't have any property that belongs to the plaintiff.
What property do you claim that he has that belongs to you? And give me the broad strokes. I'm not interested in picking stuff.
Outside of all the little things, I mean, he has
I'm not
everything.
interested in any
I
of
would
those
like
things.
to request my couches back, which I bought at a time I wasn't even living with him. I was living with a roommate.
Okay.
I financed them. Excuse me.
He doesn't have your couches, according to him. He says you took them. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Don't say anything. I told you it's not an audition. It doesn't have your couches. What else?
2 computers that I financed through Dell.
Where are they?
She took them. I have one.
She took them is the answer. Oh, can't stand him. Listen, whatever you pay to get rid of him is perfect. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Whatever it costs you to get rid of him, worth every nickel. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,241. Listen to me.
Sure.
It's finished.
Sure.
It's finished. He's got to pay for what he owes, and I don't know why you're keeping that engagement ring. I'd get rid of it. Yuck. Goodbye.
Why is that excuse? You may step out.
You should be happy, Owen. You got a car for 6 months for free. And you get to keep all my belongings. You should have a party tonight.
You look great.
Classy. As she put it, it's worth every penny getting rid of that guy.
I was in love. I mean, you saw her. She's a beautiful girl.
He was a downer in my life for 5 years.
I want to spend the rest of my life. I want to have kids with this girl.
Now I remember what it's like to be happy again.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hutton versus Martin Webley. Step forward, please.
25-year-old Jesse Hutton is suing his ex-girlfriend, Samantha Martin, and her new boyfriend, Josh Webley, for vandalizing his personal property.
This is what I understand, Mr. Hutton. You and this young lady were in a relationship. You rented an apartment together. You both signed a lease on an apartment. She's got a couple of kids. Things didn't work out after a couple of months, but since both of you wanted to maintain terrific credit, you decided to live together anyway. After a little while, you found a new girlfriend that you sort of moved in. She found the new boyfriend, that would be this gentleman, that she sort of moved in. Now the four of you were living there. Whole thing sounds very tragic to me. Mr. Webley acknowledges that he ruined your air mattress. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, ma'am.
But both deny that they did anything to your television set. So, air mattress you got. How much was the air mattress?
$48.
Now you can prove to me that they destroyed your TV.
Okay. Well, when I had found out that my TV was destroyed, which I was at an event that I was DJing at all day long with my friend, Anthony. And when we arrived back home after being gone all day, I had noticed that my TV had seemed a little off, and when I turned it on to play video games, I found these lines across the screen. And so then when I confronted her about it, she told me that I deserved it. And the next day when...
Just a minute.
Yes.
Was that her word? You deserved it?
Yes.
Why did he deserve it?
I never said that.
Yeah, I believe him. What other valuable property did you have in the apartment, sir?
I didn't really have anything else of value in the house. My computer I brought with me because I was DJing that day.
Did you know what she meant when she said you deserved it?
I really couldn't think of anything. She did mention a few days before that I had drank her sodas and eaten her food, and that I needed to pay her for that, and I did nothing of the sort.
Had you had a party there, Mr. Hutton, shortly before this damage to your TV?
No, not shortly before, probably about 2 weeks before.
Is that right?
No, it was about 4 days before.
Tell me about it.
We were sleeping. I had given him the bedroom so he could have his own privacy, and we were in the living room asleep. My kids were in their room asleep. And about 4 o'clock in the morning, we got a very disturbing knock on the front door. We jumped up and answered the door, and it was the police. They said we were having a party. We told them we were asleep. They said it was coming from the back room. When I went into his room, he had about 15 people in there. None of them looked of age. They were all drinking in his bedroom.
Where was the TV?
In his room.
Is that the TV that you're complaining about, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
And
just a sec.
Sorry.
Enough. Now, why did you stab the air mattress?
Because, ma'am, the damage done to my military boots. And I was upset at the time of this incident.
You two people have a very bad temper. Okay. Did you damage his military boots?
No, I did not. He confronted me about it afterwards. He said that there was beer spilled on it.
And what about cigarette burns that he says were on his boots?
He never said anything about that to me.
But there was beer?
Yeah, there was beer.
When was the last time you wore the military boots, sir?
Week before the incident, ma'am. So I was out on a routine flight that day.
Oh, well, you can't prove that he spilled it unless he acknowledged that he ruined the military boots, did he?
I did confront him. He did acknowledge it.
What did he say?
He just looked at me and laughed and walked away.
Well, that's not acknowledging it. Silence is not acknowledging it. Now, Miss Martin, you have a counterclaim that's probably one of the most ridiculous counterclaims that I've ever heard, because you punched a wall.
Right.
And you think that Mr. Hutton is responsible for the damage done to your hands and your medical bills and pain and suffering. You have 30 seconds to convince me.
The pain and suffering isn't from my hand. It's the stress that I had to go through
That's your problem, stress. I have enough stress listening to these cases every day. If you
I understand that, ma'am.
Stress, you move. If you don't like the stress, you move. You're not married to him.
We were moving.
Move faster. If he put you and your family through stress, move.
He put my kids in danger with having minors drinking, ma'am.
Listen to me. It's not that I don't care. It's that you have no cause of action for your stress. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, get to your injury and get to it quickly so that I can dismiss it.
The night of the fight, the night of the party, the next day when I got off of work, I went to confront him about having minors drinking in the house while my children were there. He told me that he could have whatever party he wanted. He paid half the rent. And I told him, I don't care how many people you have here, just don't have minors drinking in the house. We were arguing. He was in my face yelling, and the only thing I could think to do was hit a door instead of hitting him.
So you hit the door?
To get him to stop yelling at me, yes.
You could just walk out. That's an option. Instead of injuring yourself by putting your hand through a door, you turn around and walk out. That's an option.
Yes, it is an option.
Good. That's why I don't get involved with it. Counterclaims dismissed. You owe him $48 for his air mattress. Thank you very much. That's all.
Yes, case number 604 on the calendar in the matter of Evgene versus Funger. Parties have been sworn in, Judge.
How do you pronounce your last name?
Funger.
Funger.
And Mr. Evgene.
Correct.
How old are you, sir?
50.
Other than this arrest that you had on this charge of domestic violence, have you ever been arrested?
No.
So this arrest for domestic violence was your first arrest?
For domestic violence, yes.
I'm talking about for anything.
For anything. In 2001, wet reckless.
2001 what?
Wet reckless.
What does that mean?
That is a DUI that was reduced to a wet reckless.
So in 2001 you had one arrest for DUI?
Correct.
Other than that?
That's it.
And how long had you and Miss Funger been a couple?
We met in April of 06 at rehab.
Nature of your addiction was alcohol?
Alcohol, correct.
And yours?
It was pills.
Your complaint alleges that you were arrested for domestic violence. The incident occurred because Miss Funger actually assaulted you while you were driving in the car. It is your claim that ultimately the charges against you were dropped.
Correct.
For lack of evidence. The criminal charges. You allege that Miss Funger filed for a restraining order. She never showed up. That case was dismissed.
Correct.
Then she filed for another restraining order, and she conned you into not going to court on that one. Told you she was going to drop those charges, so you didn't go to court.
Along with a little loving, yes.
Yeah.
That's correct.
And then she did go to court and did in fact get a protective order.
Correct.
And you want her to compensate you to the tune of $5,000. Ms. Funger says that you did in fact assault her. She's got a counterclaim for her medical bills and punitive damages for the assault. So I want you to tell me exactly your version of the events, Ms. Funger, of what happened on the 9th of January, because you also have a claim for a certain property that you claim she took while the 2 days that you were in jail before the charges were dropped, and a dog that you claim she took that belonged to you. Okay. Go.
Okay. On January 9th, we were on, sorry, I'm nervous. We went to Pollock Casino and we meet at people. And that night, he decided not to go to the concert. So he pulled me out and we went to Temecula Valley.
You said you had been to the concert at the casino.
Halfway.
But you went to the concert.
Right, but only halfway.
Okay. And then he wanted to leave. You were driving the car back and?
Mm-hmm. And he was drunk.
Yes.
And he was on drugs.
And
then I was yelling and screaming.
And what about you?
I had 4 drinks.
And what about pills?
Nope.
Just alcohol?
Yeah, correct.
I have proof she had pills that night.
What kind of proof do you have?
A week before that, she got 120 somas by forging my doctor's signature.
But how can you prove that she had pills in her system that night?
Her actions, her behavior, it just goes from what she's...
That's not proof. Go ahead.
When we got to, actually, between Pollock Casino and Temecula Valley, he hit my head against the wall, or against the window. I was unconscious, and then he kept hitting me. He restrained me, and then the next thing I know was the police were there.
Okay, go ahead.
Back from the concert, she didn't want to go, she wanted to stay, and with this new friend she had met, party with them, and we were arguing, and then I'm driving and she attacks me. I have pictures of my face being scratched. And
you wanted to leave the concert early?
I don't think so. No, we left early, but I didn't want to leave early. No.
Do you remember why?
I think it's because the couple that she'd met started making inappropriate remarks towards, like, maybe you guys could sleep in our room tonight and things like that, and I didn't want to stick around.
When had you been drinking that day?
Pretty much from noon until the concert,
And when had the defendant been drinking that day?
Along with me all day long, yeah.
So you were drinking home and you were driving while you were drinking?
No, I wasn't driving while I was
Not while you were drinking, but you had been drinking all day and you got behind the wheel of the car.
That is correct.
So what happened in the car, if you remember?
Oh, I remember. Very nice. She attacked me. I pulled over because it almost
Tell me how
wrecked.
she attacked you.
She came across my face and scratched me. And I.
Well, what were you arguing about that caused that?
Just that she wanted to stay and I didn't. And she was being just the normal self that she always is when she takes her pills. And I didn't want to, have to take care, because she can't walk or talk after a certain amount of them, and I have to take care of her, and I didn't want to do that anymore. So I pull over into a parking lot and try to calm her down. She's running around the parking lot screaming, out of control. I can't calm her down. People call the cops. They come and they arrest me. And then they get
Do you have a police report?
She did.
I'd like to see the police report.
I never did get a police report.
I'd like to see the police report, and I would also like to see the pictures.
Here's the proof of the pills, too. She just got 120 more of them 2 weeks ago. That's probably why she can't stand up.
No.
You on pills now, Ms. Funger?
No, I haven't been.
You willing to take a drug test?
I'm willing to.
Hair follicle test?
Sure.
We'll arrange for that.
Mr. Evgene has been taking drugs.
I'm just asking you, are you prepared to take a hair follicle test?
Yes.
Today?
Yes.
And you will either be exonerated or humiliated. Don't waste my time. Don't waste his time. If you've taken any drugs, it's going to show up in your hair follicle. Do you get it?
Yes.
Okay? And you would agree that if you lied to me about using drugs now, so you don't have any pills in your system, that I would have serious reservations about everything else that you told me. Do you understand
Correct.
that?
You can test Mr. Evgene, too.
I'm just asking you.
Okay.
His behavior is not bizarre. Yours is.
I'm very nervous.
That's not nerves. That's more than nerves.
Amen.
Been in the business a long time.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robert Evgene says his ex-fiancée, Kimberly Fonger, owes for a false arrest and for the return of his property and his dog. Kimberly is countersuing for medical bills from an assault.
Well, so according to the police, you were both drunk as skunks that day. Both of you. According to the police, you both had visible signs of injury. You had a bloody lip, and he had bloody scratches on his face. They decided to arrest him, right?
Correct.
You deserve to be arrested. You were driving drunk.
Mm-hmm.
You had a fight with her. So your statement that her behavior caused you to be arrested, that's not true. She may have contributed to it, but your own behavior caused you to be arrested.
Her behavior was the one
Your own behavior caused you to be arrested, sir. If you were not drunk, you wouldn't have been put in that situation.
If she had not called attention to everybody and had the cops call.
You're ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. That's what happens when you drink and drive.
I understand that, but I could have
That's what happens when you drink and drive.
could have sat in my truck all night and no one would know I've been drunk, unless someone called them. And she's the one that had
Or
them.
unless you hit somebody who was traveling with their 4 children in a car.
That's another story.
That's another story. I have zero
Tolerance.
sympathy for you.
I understand that.
Zero sympathy for you. I have less sympathy for you. Right now, I'm telling you right now, my inclination is to let you, if you're sober now, terrific, but to let you two drunks who were drunk on January 9th go your own way, and whatever happened to you that day, that's it. He was injured, you were injured, he got to spend some time in jail, had to bail himself out, lost a dog, lost some property, which, by the way, you have his property?
No, it's mine.
What property did she take?
The dog, the TV, the VCR, the bed.
How long had you been living together?
3 years.
I'm not bothering with it. That's your problem.
The dog, though, is like a kid. You can't take a kid from you. It's like taking a kid from you. How do you do that?
You've been living together for 3 years, is that right?
I paid for everything. It's my dog.
How long have you had the dog?
2.5 years.
Good. Can I see the medical records, please?
Yes.
as well. This is the AKC, and it's
This is the
wrong.
medical records.
Yes.
That's what she had.
Thank
And
you.
Your Honor, I have a tape that says the dog's mine.
I don't care what you have. I just told him he's not getting the dog back. This is not the hospital record, madam. This is not a medical record. This tells you what to do in case you have serious vomiting or worsening or a headache or whatever. I'm not interested in that.
That's from the hospital.
Well, it's not enough for me. Will you pass this back to her, please? He had a swollen lip. He had a scratched face. Sounds to me as if you two people who were intoxicated in a car got exactly what you both deserved. Goodbye.
Are you excused? You may step out.
It was just waiting to happen. It was one of those relationships that, you meet in rehab, and they tell you not to date, and they're right. You don't do it.
Don't meet a man in rehab.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Frith versus Austin, step forward.
19-year-old Kimberly Frith is suing her mother, Ruth Austin, for spending a settlement check for an injury she received as a young girl.
Miss Frith, this is your mom.
Yes, ma'am.
Your complaint alleges that when you were a youngster, 6?
Yes, ma'am.
You were bitten by a dog.
Yes, ma'am.
And there was a lawsuit filed, and there was a settlement.
Mm-hmm.
Your parents got the settlement, your mother and your father. Your parents are divorced now.
Mm-hmm.
And when you turned 18, your father gave you half of
We settled
the
out of
settlement.
court. Yes, ma'am.
And you want the other half from your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
And your mother says that that money was just used to live.
Yes, exactly.
Do you have the paperwork on the settlement?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to take a look at it. How old are you now?
I am 19.
And you live with whom?
Well, I'm staying with my father right now. I'm in the process of moving.
What are you doing?
I'm an in-home support specialist. I work with handicapped children.
Okay. So after the attorney was paid, the entire amount was $2,641. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me how you resolved this with your father.
We settled because he's been paying my cell phone bill for the past 2 years, and I've been staying with him, not paying any rent.
When did you make the arrangement with him with regard to paying your cell phone bill as a quid pro quo of this money?
When I turned 18, because my father also had spent $1,000 of my money when my grandfather passed away, and when I turned 18, he started paying the cell phone bill, and I asked him if he would help me out to go to school, and I'm actually in the process of going to school, and he's given me some money for that.
Well, this money was put into a bank account, was it not, Miss Austin?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Back then, we had no money. We lived in motels. I worked 2 different jobs. Her dad worked shows, flea markets, whatever, and we just didn't have any money.
Was there anything in the paperwork that directs that this money be placed in an interest-bearing account for your benefit?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you have her read it to me? Read to me the part of that you believe directs that this money be placed in an interest-bearing account for you. I don't see that in your paperwork, but if you believe that it's there, I'm asking you to read it to me, Miss Frith.
Ma'am.
Just read it to me.
The undersigned understand that the parties hereby release admit no liability of any sort by reason of said accident, and that said payment and compromise is made to terminate further controversy respecting all claims for damages that said minor or undersigned have heretofore asserted or might personally.
Correct. That's a general release. That means that your parents, on behalf of themselves and you, release the person who owned the dog from any further lawsuits.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all that says.
Yes, ma'am.
Doesn't say that your parents are obligated to put the money in an interest-bearing account. I'm turn it over to you when you're 18. If you had bills, if you had anything that was related to the dog bite, that money could be used for that, if they wished. I'm looking for a legal hook for you, and I don't see it.
Ma'am, what I was told is that if
you can't tell me what you were told. What you were told is hearsay.
If the money was not spent on me, then it shouldn't have been spent.
Is that what you think?
That's what I've seek legal counsel, and that's what I've been.
That's hearsay, and I can't help you with it.
They weren't living in a motel at the time.
I don't care whether they were or not.
It would have been put in an interest-bearing account if they actually taken it to court, but they just released the check believing that my parents would do what they were supposed to do.
Well, they didn't.
They didn't, and I'm upset.
I can see that you're upset. I can see that you're upset.
Yes, ma'am.
But what I'm telling you is you don't have a legal basis to be upset. You have a moral basis to be upset, but you don't have a legal basis to be upset. Your parents signed off on it, probably selfishly and stupidly, both of them.
Yes, ma'am.
Because this was fast money, and they didn't have to wait for the matter to go to trial, where they might have gotten some more money, but then the court would have been involved in setting up what they call a structured settlement for a minor, and the structured settlement for the minor would have said this money has to go into a certain kind of account and can only be touched in case of absolute necessity. Parents make mistakes all the time, and they act selfishly all the time, and that's what your mother and your father did. But that doesn't mean that you have a legal claim against your mother for half the money.
Well, that's what I believe the parents' release and indemnity agreement was.
No. Parents' release just says that they release the owner of the dog from any further liability in consideration of the $4,000 less attorney's fees.
Well, I'm the one that's left with the scars. They're not.
You're absolutely right. I said to you, you have a reason to be morally distressed, but not legally distressed. So, I understand your position, and I understand your consternation. What I don't understand is, I don't consider it a big deal that your father has paid your phone bill. And I don't think it's a big deal that your father has let his daughter live in his house when she's 17 and 18 years old, rent-free. That's not a big deal. If I could have gotten away with that with my children, I would be dancing a big old dance right now. And if your father is going to help you pay for school, that's what your father is supposed to do.
And that's what my mother's
That's
also
what your
supposed to
father
do.
is supposed to do.
My mother's
and if your
also
mother is
supposed
able,
to
just
do
a
that.
second, and if your mother is able to, and she's not doing it, then she's not a good mother. That's not what we have courts for. What I'm telling you is your father is supposed to do whatever he's been doing for you.
And I have been helping, ma'am.
Well, I don't know how you've been helping.
Putting me in debt.
Just a second. Clearly, your daughter is angry with you for
She's very
something.
angry. Yes, ma'am.
For
She's very
something,
angry.
which I'm not getting into now
Right.
because, quite frankly, I don't care why she's angry with you.
Right.
Sometimes teenage girls get angry with their mother, and they don't get happy with their mother until they're 30. And they stay happy with their father just because. That's what happens.
Right.
Is that what happens? Yeah, sometimes.
That's what happens.
In any event, your father doesn't deserve any kudos for doing what he's supposed to do. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's supporting his child. How long have your parents been divorced?
9 years.
And who did you live with initially?
Well, we stayed with our mom, but I just
For how
ventured
long?
out with friends.
For how long did you stay with your mother?
I was 11 when I was about a year.
And after the year?
I moved in with some friends.
When you were how old?
12, 13, ma'am.
Yeah, that's
No, no.
You may have spent a lot of time with your friends, but I don't believe that when you were 11 or 12 years old, you moved in with
She
friends.
lived with me.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
No,
All right, Ms. Frith, I'm sorry, but you don't have a claim against your mother. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Yeah, it's case number 556 on the calendar in the matter of Robichon versus Farley.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
All right, Ms. Robichard, you could sit down because you weren't there during this incident.
No.
And Mr. and Mrs. Farley, similarly, I'm just going to have your son step up. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
If I need you, we'll come back. Mr. Robichon, you and the Farleys are neighbors, and young Mr. Farley, and you, I gather, friendly, and he'd done some work for you. Yard work, is that right? On November 12th of 2008, you were on your way to pick up your son from school, and according to your complaint, asked young Mr. Farley here whether he would like to take a ride with you.
Yes.
During the ride to school to pick up your son, is this your son?
Yes.
There was a road rage incident. You were driving your car. You're going to tell me what happened during that incident. Subsequently, it is your claim that Mr. Farley came to your house and punched your truck, causing damage. Mr. Farley acknowledges that he punched your truck, but he says that was only after you punched him in the face, giving him a swollen eye, which required medical treatment, and Mr. Farley's parents, on his behalf, are counterclaiming for that assault. That's what the case is about. So, Mr. Robichard, why don't you first tell me what happened on the way to pick up your son at school?
Okay, we were going down Clayton Road, and I went to get over a lane, and this gentleman had beeped his horn, so I got back into my lane, and he pulled up beside me. He reached
You cut somebody off?
Yeah, I cut somebody off.
Well, that's what you say in your complaint, Mr. Robichard. I accidentally
cut somebody
off.
off.
Accidentally cut somebody off.
Exactly. And he got upset and was beeping the horn, and he pulled up beside me and reached in his glove box, in which he pulled out this taser gun, but at the time I thought it was a gun. So I had slammed on my brakes and let him go by, and the road veered to the right, so I veered to the right and he went straight. Then I proceeded to go to my son's school.
Take your hands out of your pockets.
And when we got there, this gentleman was there. He had jumped out of his car and had hit that taser gun in his hand.
Oh, just a minute. So you're waiting at school?
No, we just pulled up.
Where did you pull up?
We pulled up right in front of the school. It's a street right in front of the school. It's right.
Mr. Robichon, I'm a pretty savvy lady. I read your complaint very carefully. I'm going to ask you a question again.
Sure.
Did you pull up a block away from school near this car, or did you pull up in front of the school where there would have been a whole bunch of other cars?
Well, actually...
Well, I don't want to hear well, Mr. Robichon. I want to hear whether you pulled up a block away from school.
No, it's not really a block away from school.
How far away from school was it?
1 street away from school.
That's a block away, sir.
That's fine, a block away.
You pulled up a block away, and you pulled up a block away seeing this other, look at me, seeing this other car that you had just cut off, parked there.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Mr. Farley.
Yes, ma'am.
When you pulled up at that street, did you see the other car?
No, ma'am.
Did Mr. Robichon say anything about the other car?
Not that I remember, but he did say, here's the guy walking towards us.
Now, what happened when you saw this man walking towards you?
I pulled over, and then I started to go, and he jumped out of the car, out of the truck.
Say this very slowly. Man is walking towards you.
Yeah, so we had pulled over to the curb, just about to the curb.
Why?
Because everybody was stopping to pick up their children.
You pulled up to the curb when you saw the man coming towards you, or before?
Before.
So now you're at the curb and this man is coming towards you. Does he have anything in his hand?
Yes, he has a taser.
Did the man have anything in his hand?
Yes, Your Honor.
What did he have?
A taser.
Did you jump out of the car? Is not an answer.
Yes, sorry.
You got out of the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
See what the guy wanted. I was talking to him. I didn't run up or nothing arguing with him. I said, what's going on? Because I saw him walking towards the truck.
Did he respond to you?
He goes, what the guys doing that what you did? I said, sorry, sir, we're late, pick up his son. He started getting mad, and then Mr. Robichon got out of the truck too. Then all of us started arguing, and he grabbed a big board from the back of his truck.
Who did?
Mr. Robichon.
Now, when they were arguing, what were they saying?
Just cussing each other out, trying to figure out, just arguing pretty much over some stupid stuff that happened with the road rage incident.
Were you late picking up the boy from school?
We were late leaving, but by the time we got there, we were early.
You were late leaving, so that you were trying to make up time on the road.
Yes.
And that's when you cut off this guy. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. So far, you tell the truth, and I won't annihilate you. Do you understand? Okay. Did this gentleman ever pick up this taser and point it in your direction?
Yes.
When?
When I was outside the truck, when he was walking towards me.
Is that when Mr. Robichon got out of the truck and got the 2x4?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And then what happened?
I just told him to put the taser gun away, and he picked up his phone and said he was calling the police. So when he did that, I got back in the truck and I asked Josh to get back in the truck, and he wouldn't listen. And then I told him I was going to leave, and he still wouldn't get in. So I left and went up to the school to get my son, and just waited until he came out and then got my son.
Who called the police?
I guess it was the people down there at the corner where we were at when they were jumping around out there.
When who was jumping around?
The defendant here, Josh.
And what about you jumping around with the 2x4?
I just got out with the 2x4 and just told him that he better put the taser away, and I got right back in the truck. Wasn't jumping around out there making, Well, I mean, I just did it for him, actually, because I didn't want him to get tased or what, I wouldn't have got out to begin with. It wouldn't have had any of this problem,
But then you left him there.
Exactly.
With the guy.
I didn't want to.
Just a second. You left him there with the guy.
Yeah, I know, but I made sure that he put the taser away.
Where did he put it?
I don't know. He put it in his pocket. Well.
All right.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Henry Robichon says his neighbor's son, 17-year-old Joshua Farley, punched his truck. Joshua and his parents are countersuing for an assault.
So now the incident is over, and you're back home. You called young Mr. Farley Why?
Because I was mad that he didn't get back in the truck when I asked him to, so we wouldn't have all this hassle, because he was making a scene in front of my son's school, and I know the parents there and everything. I didn't want to make a bigger scene earlier, and that all happened.
Why did you not get back into the truck?
I was already on the phone with 911 too, because as soon as he called, I called too, because I felt that was the right thing to do.
Who called? The other man?
The other man, yes, Your Honor.
Did Mr. Robichon see you call the police?
No, ma'am.
Did Mr. Robichon see the other man call the police?
Yes, ma'am.
He did?
Yes.
And then he left?
Yes.
So you stayed because you had called 911?
Yes.
Did you tell that to Mr. Robichon when you came over to his house?
Yes, ma'am.
What did he say?
For what? Why did you call 911?
And what did you say?
Because I felt that was the right thing to do. After getting the weapons drawn out and everything, I felt that was the right thing to do, so I wouldn't get in trouble, so the cops knew what really went on. They heard my side of the story.
Okay. And what did Mr. Robichon say to you?
He goes, that was stupid. I mean, you should have just got in the truck when I told you to get in the truck and left.
And then what happened, Mr. Farley?
I said, no, I'm not like that. I was raised to, if something happens, call the police and do it.
Is that what you told him, or is that what you're telling me?
That's what I told him.
Go ahead.
And then we started arguing. I said, forget about it, I'm leaving. I walked out his front door and slammed the front door behind me.
So this is in his house?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And then he came outside screaming out, why'd you slam my door? I was like, what the heck? I was trying to get away from the situation. And then we started arguing. I walked towards his front porch, and then we started...
Why did you walk back towards his front porch for?
To ask him for the money he owes me and the dirt bike he promised me for the work I did. And he said no, and he punished me. So I turned around and yelled for my father and my mother to come down, and he started walking toward me, so I got off and I hit his truck.
I didn't ask you anything. You have a medical record?
No, ma'am, I did not get enough time.
What do you mean you didn't have the time?
By the time I figured out the date and everything, they wanted 30 days in order to get the paperwork to me.
You have a picture of your eye?
Nope, the Kaiser Permanente Hospital has all the pictures. They're the one that took the pictures of me.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Farley, can you describe what you saw when your son came home that day from Mr. Robichaud's house?
I met my son at Mr. Robichaud's house. His hand was bleeding, his eye was swollen.
His hand was bleeding?
His hand was bleeding.
His hand was bleeding from punching Mr. Robichaud's truck?
From him punching the truck, yes, ma'am. And his eye was swollen, and they were still yelling at each other, so I got between them.
And
asked them to stop. My husband was on the phone with the police, that the police would take care of it when they got there.
All right, Mr. Robichaud, now tell me your version of the events after you called him to come over.
That's right, yeah, he came over and came in, and I just asked him why he didn't just get in the vehicle so we wouldn't have a big scene there and make a big scene in my son's school.
Have the police contacted you yet?
No, they left a card on my door.
Well, that's a contact, sir.
Yeah.
They didn't speak to you, but the police had left a
card on the door. So when I came home...
So you had to call the police?
Yeah.
Now, after you got the card from the police is when you called Mr. Farley?
Exactly, yeah.
Exactly. Right.
Right.
And told them to come over because now they were making a big deal out of this road rage incident.
Exactly.
Right? And you didn't want to have any part of it.
Right.
Right. So you called him to come over. And what did you say to him? You said, why didn't you get back in the car? And he said, because I had already called the police. Go ahead.
And then he goes, don't yell at me. I said, I'm not yelling at you. And then he asked me...
Well, you were yelling at him.
Not really yelling.
Not really is not yelling
well, I mean,
at him. You were yelling
voice,
at him. Right now, you were involved in a road rage incident.
Well, I guess
and
so.
felt that because he stayed there to speak to the police and make this whole thing not go away, you were going to have interaction with the police, which is something that you clearly didn't want to have, which is why you left in the first place, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Of course it's true. That's common sense. So you were yelling at him.
Well, maybe I was upset. Yeah, sure, maybe a little bit.
Sure you were. And then what happened?
He went out the door, slammed the door, and I went right out after him and told him, I said, why'd you slam my door? I mean, act like an idiot.
How did his eye get swollen and bleeding?
Because he swung at me. And, well, he swung at me and I blocked his punch, and he hit himself in the face.
He hit himself?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was...
He hit himself?
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. It bounced, his hand bounced off my hand.
Take your hands out of your pockets. How old are you? Uncross your hands. How old are you?
41.
He's 17. Your responsibility as the adult when you invite a minor into your car is to behave in an appropriate way.
I did.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't, sir. First of all, you left late to pick your son up from school.
I didn't leave late to pick up my son from school.
Yes, you did.
I did not.
Oh, I think you did. I think you did.
It's baloney. You're not even listening to my story.
I listened to your whole story. Your story doesn't make sense.
Excuse me, maybe I was a little nervous and didn't say it right, but I know for a fact I wasn't late, and
Mr. Robichaud, you cut off a car
by accident.
You cut off a car by accident.
Yeah, by an accident.
With a minor in the car. There's no question in my mind that you were speeding. With a minor in the car, you took out a 2x4, which is a dangerous weapon, from your car.
Well, the guy had a taser gun. What, does he want me to just let him tase him?
Do you have a cell phone, Mr. Robichaud? My question to you is a simple one.
Yes, I do, but I didn't have it with me.
That requires a yes or a no. I don't believe it.
You don't?
No, I don't believe you didn't have your cell phone with you. Put your hand down.
His phone was not turned on.
Put your hand down. And there are lots of other cars there. So if you don't have your phone, you don't run out with a 2x4, you run up to a car and you say, please, I don't have my cell phone, could you please call 911? What you did, hey, Mr. Robichaud, you didn't act like a responsible adult that day.
Yes, I did.
Well, you think you did. I say you didn't. I win, you lose. Your case is dismissed, and I'm awarding him $500 on the counterclaim. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, it's not excused. You may step out.
Why am I upset? Because I'm right.
I mean, I think it was very fair.
No, I have no comment.
He did what he did, and that's what he gets.
And now the next case. Jorge George Cardenas is suing the mother of his child, 22-year-old Jennifer Aguilera, for the return of his electronic equipment and bedroom furniture.
Mr. Cardenas, according to your complaint, you and the defendant were in a relationship as young teenagers. You made a baby, and then you moved in with the defendant's parents, where you lived for how many years?
Beginning of 2005, so about 3 years, three plus years.
3 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And then things didn't work out, and you moved out when, sir?
August of 08.
And it is your claim that Miss Aguilera won't give you back things that you purchased while you were in the house.
Correct.
Like what things?
There's a digital camera, a video recorder, a 46-inch plasma TV, a Dell computer, and bedroom furniture.
Okay. Now, Miss Aguilera says that all these things were purchased from a joint account and paid for from a joint account. So she said, this isn't your property, it's our property because it was paid for from a joint account. Miss Aguilera says that when you left, you cleaned out that joint checking account and took several $1,000s.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And?
Yeah, which I've given all back. And more.
Just a second, Mr. Cardenas, when did you give it back?
Throughout the past 8-7 months to help you out. Here.
No. I'm not talking about payments that you made for child support.
No. Child support comes straight out of my check. This is straight out of my bank account.
Shh.
This is straight out of my bank account to her account. It says to Jennifer Aguilera. I highlighted them all in orange right for you.
Just a second. All right, listen. Two people decide to play house. We don't have courts for people playing house. I tell you that right now. And I tell you, I'm not going through your bank account to see who put in what to what, because as far as I'm concerned, you're not married. There are no courts for people who aren't married. You decide to set up housekeeping, and there are no rules. You worry about it afterwards, not me. You're not going to waste court time with this nonsense, and I have no intention of going through a 3-year relationship to see who put what money into what account. Do you understand? You get it? Do you understand that?
Yes.
Perfect.
Now,
the next thing
all I'm asking is
speaking,
for her half. I'm sorry.
Just a second. Listen to me carefully. You are paying for a credit card that's in your name.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, in our name. Yes.
Now, just a minute. Who's paying for the furniture?
I am. For the past 8 months. Who's
paying for the furniture? Is not an answer.
Do you have a job?
No. Just listen. Don't speak. Do you have a job?
No, ma'am, I do not.
You don't have a job?
No.
So you're not paying for the furniture?
Right.
Right? He's coming to get the furniture. He's coming to get all those things in 5 days, Ms. Aguilera. Do you understand?
So we're supposed to sleep on the floor, me and my daughter?
No, get a job. You want furniture, get a job. But he's not going to pay for furniture for you. You're not his wife. The only thing he's responsible to pay for is his child. And he says that child support is coming right out of his check. Is the child support coming right out of his check?
I assume so. I'm getting it. I don't know where it's coming from.
No, it's coming from the child support genie. It's coming out of his check. And he's coming within 5 days to pick up all of his stuff, his furniture, his camcorder. What else?
The TV,
I don't have any of that camcorder or whatever he's talking about. I have the bed, the TV.
Fine.
And the computer?
The TV was paid off with my financial aid from school.
Do you go to school?
Yes, ma'am.
How many classes do you take in a week?
Right now I'm taking 2. The last 2 classes I need to get into the nursing program at my school.
How many years do you have total?
Shh. You want to ask her questions? Go outside.
Yes, ma'am. And the computer?
Do you have the computer?
No, it's broken. You can take it,
Just
whatever.
fine.
It's broken.
You can
Computer's
have
broken?
it. You can have it.
Computer's broken? I'd like the value of it.
Mr. Cardenas, it's yours. Go there within 5 days and get your property. There's no reason for you to pay for this stuff if you don't have it. But you obligated yourself to pay for it, put it on a credit card. If you're still paying on the credit card, you're entitled to the property.
Your Honor,
and
what
you're
if-
going to go and get it. Do you understand? 5 days, I'll prepare
Your
the
Honor.
order. That's all. Your counterclaim's dismissed, madam.
खुद भी वर्क कर रहा हूँ और आपके लिए भी लेकर आया हूँ।